And we're live. Pep Talk UK. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Brand new week, brand new set of lives. As ever, joined by Jay Alby. First of all, before we get to any other business of the weekend shenanigans, and most importantly, Billy Joe Saunders. How are you, Jay?
All good, all good. Yep, fully recovered. Exciting weekend, great stuff. Yeah, looking forward to the future boxing and happy to discuss obviously what happened over the weekend's events and that with you tonight, Joe.
Yeah, no, brilliant, brilliant. We had a late one on Saturday into
Yeah,
Sunday morning. It was a great live. If any of you missed it, we was doing a live commentary for the Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo fight, which will probably be our key topic this evening. But yeah, how did you find that, Jay? Did you recover well? How long did it take you, mate?
nah, yeah, I recovered well and that. No, no, it was great. I enjoyed watching the fight back a couple more times since then. So I've got
Yeah.
obviously when you're watching it, you have a different type of opinion, don't you? So yeah,
Mm.
no, I spent yesterday watched the fight back a couple of times and that, and yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Great event. Great night of boxing. And yeah, hopefully more big nights like that to come.
Yeah, no, definitely, guys. If you're in the comments, let us know what's next for Billy Joe. We'll get to that in a bit. That's what we're mainly going to be talking about tonight, because obviously now a former world champion, former two-weight world champion, Billy Joe Saunders, has had a horrific injury. I think it's a triple orbital fracture. He's had surgery and apparently it's gone well. And he's put out a short statement yesterday, and we hope for his health first of all, and then we'll look to see if he gets back in the ring, Jay. But you said watching the fight back differently, that you saw it a slightly different. Do you just want to explain how and why you saw it different on the
Yeah,
rewatch?
no, yeah, no, of course, yeah. Obviously at the time and that, you're emotionally involved in the fight, aren't you? So you're probably seeing things a little bit differently, or you're not wanting to see things that you want to see, or you see things that you think you're seeing that ain't there. So yeah, no, it was good to watch it with more of a neutral head, shall I say, because we already knew the result. Yeah, and just basically just see different things of the fight that I didn't see at the time. So yeah, I just got to praise Canelo before we go anywhere. Just an absolutely boxing clinic, really. Watching it back and that, just seeing some of the things he was doing, and I just thought maybe as watching the fight back, and now I thought Billy Joe was doing really well, but now watching it, it was just like you can see the setups, the traps, the stuff Canelo was doing to basically. Well, yeah, he was just looking for openings and that, and yeah, I just got full credit to Canelo really after watching it back. That's all I can really say. Really, that's the difference that I saw. I thought Canelo performed a lot better than what I thought he did on the night. I thought Billy Joe. I had it at that time. I had it 4-3 Canelo and a drawn round. So I had Billy Joe right in it. But yeah, I just think that watching it back, I saw the traps Canelo was
Mm.
set in, and also the shot that uppercut he landed. It ain't just that one punch. Obviously, at the time you focused on the uppercut, but then you realise from the body action that Canelo knew with that shot that the damage he done, which obviously you see later on in interviews that he said he knew that he broke his cheekbone. But then the 3 to 4 shots that he hit on that same eye after that he hit him with that uppercut completely took Billy Joe out in the round and out the fight. To be honest, so the IQ of Canelo to know that he broke the cheek of Billy Joe and then he targeted and I counted another 3 or 4 clean shots to that eye, and
Mm.
it was just ruthless. Really, that's ruthless.
Yeah, definitely. And just we'll go to Haydar Mahmood's comment just in a minute, but just one last thing on Canelo. Has he gone up in your estimations, or have you always knew he was that good, Jay, since Saturday night?
No, I've always known he's that good. I've followed him since for the last 10 years, and I
Mm.
think he's getting better with each fight. I think he's 30 years old, 31. Like the guy, this is when people normally hit their prime and that. And I know he's been around a while, so they can say like he's got the miles on the clock, but honestly, I can't see anyone beating him at super middleweight. No one. Caleb Plant ain't got a chance in my eyes. Because I thought Callum Smith, we spoke about it. I thought Callum Smith was the biggest challenger due to his height at super middleweight. He destroyed him. the next in line was definitely Billy Joe Saunders. I thought Billy Joe Saunders was definitely number 2 or number 3 super middleweight in the world behind Canelo and Smith, and he just ruined the guy's face. Do you know what I mean? Like, as we'll talk about, obviously soon, the injury in that. No shame to Billy Joe Saunders, but it's just full credit Canelo. He hit him with that shot, and then he targeted the rest of that round, that face, that same side. So it was just great, like you say, it's just great from Canelo. But no, I can't see anyone beating him, and he's getting better and better. I'm in awe every time I see him fight. I'm just in awe of him, and I'm just become a bigger fan, really.
Yeah, definitely. Every fight we watch, we see a little bit more of his game, and we see the improvements because obviously he's 30 years of age. He's had close to 60 professional fights, but he's still improving, still getting better. And I have no idea how good he will get, but as long as he's improving, then we will see one of the most special fighters, and we are seeing a special fighter at the minute. So, yeah, just props to Canelo. And hopefully we get to see the Caleb Plant fight for the undisputed super middleweight titles. Yeah, so we'll move on from Canelo. Just quickly addressing Haydar's comment. He said, are you doing a watch along to the Buatsi fight this weekend? Love the commentary. First of all, thank you, Haydar. And at the minute, we're not sure if we are doing one, but we'll certainly let you know. And yeah, hit that subscribe button. Get on Pep Talk UK's social media platforms, and you will know straight away whether we'll be doing anything to do with the Buatsi fight on Sky this weekend. And we may even talk about it a bit later if we've got time. And Haydar, another class comment there. Big follower of the channel. As we know, he's always on these live streams. So big shout out there. I wanted Billy to return to good health. And I think, yeah, that's a great place to start. Triple fracture to the eye socket we're hearing. First of all, Jay, how did it look to you on Saturday night or Sunday morning? And has your opinion changed on the injury at all?
The injury itself, at the time, I thought it did look quite bad. But when you, like I say, that's what I was saying earlier about when you're emotionally involved in the fight. We didn't realise, obviously, the fight was called off when we did. Obviously, we didn't pay as much attention to the uppercut as we probably would have done if we knew the damage. Obviously, we see the shot.
Yeah.
We see it hurt Billy. Like I said, now watching it back 2 or 3 times, it was quite horrible, to be honest. So, like, now when you know when the shot lands, the uppercut, and like I said, now knowing that Canelo was, he went for that eye 3 or 4 more times, hit it cleanly. And what probably happened was he probably broke the cheekbone, and then them other shots afterwards completely probably shattered his eye. Because there were some big clean shots, do you know what I mean? And if it was already broken from that first uppercut, like if you hadn't seen it, people go back and check the rest of the round after that. There were some big shots landed on Billy, and to stay on his feet, much credit to the man, much credit. He fought till the end of the round. He didn't take a knee. Like when Daniel Dubois got hit, he took a knee, which was fair enough. And that you have your right to take the knee for an 8 count. He just fought till the end of the round. So no, my opinion hasn't changed. It looked a bit like, you know, the Rocky Balboa films. His eye when it drooped and it was completely bruised. You don't really see them much nowadays. You see the swelling come outwards instead of inwards.
Yeah.
I watched a doctor on YouTube about an hour or 2 after the fight. A sports doctor talking about the injury and what people might not necessarily know about the injury inside the eye and how bad it generally is. Yeah, it was a really bad injury, and now known as a triple fracture is even worse. No, I don't think he quit in the corner. I think it was a great call from the corner. You can't carry on fighting like that. It was a horrific injury, and the power that Canelo possesses, any more damage to that eye could have been real serious damage. So, no, my opinions haven't changed on it. We've seen many other fighters struggle with that injury. Kell Brook, in both of his eyes, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it's a really bad injury, and you got to think. Look how many fights that we see, and this injury doesn't happen all the time. It does happen, but not regularly. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of these fighters take a lot of punches, so it must have been a real big shot that hurt Billy Joe. So yeah, it was a horrific injury.
Yeah, certainly. And as we understand, it's been operated on, and thankfully and hopefully the surgery went well. That's what Billy said in his statement. I don't know if you saw it. He said that he didn't feel like he was out of his league. And I think he even said he will come back. So that's a big talking point of tonight's live as well. But yeah, so I think just quickly going back to the fight, after that uppercut landed, for me, it was kind of like it didn't matter how big that ring was. Canelo was closing him down. It went from corner to corner to corner. He was closing him down at speed and putting him under enormous pressure. So, Jay, do you think that if he'd have come out for round 9, he would have been knocked out?
I don't know if he would have been knocked down, but he would have been in some serious pain, and the damage would have been a lot worse. I think I'm not a doctor, but I think the uppercut did break the cheekbone, and then I think the blows after that broke the rest of the eye socket, the other 3 fractures or the other 2 fractures around the eye where it was already weak. So it just would have been more damage. And the IQ of Canelo knew straight away. I heard after the fight that he said he knew, and then I went back and watched it, and you see when he hits him with that uppercut, he starts cheering in the ring, starts cheering up the crowd. Yeah, because he knew. He said he knew. He felt it. And I guess as a boxer, you would know when you broke someone's face. And look, just hearing that, he broke his face. That, like, and people are saying he quit. The guy's face was literally broken in, and like, yeah, and then just like I said, Canelo knew the damage that he caused, and he was just going for that eye. And he said to his corner, he ain't coming out for the next round. And I just think like it would have just gone one way. On the facts that Billy's come out, yeah, I did see his statement. I was happy to hear from him. Glad the surgery went well. He was in it. It was a competitive fight. It was a close competitive fight. I think he can come back. If he wants to come back, that is. Would I like to see him come back? I would, because obviously I love Billy Joe's boxing skills, but I just think he's made a lot of money. And as we're going to talk about that eye injury, I just think after an injury like that, it's difficult to get back to the top. But yeah, if he wants to come back, I would love to see him. I'd support him all the way. And all it is get better soon and get back to good health, because that's the main thing, is health. So
definitely.
Good luck, Billy, and hope you get back soon.
Yeah, definitely. Another great comment here coming in from Haydar. But he said, I don't think Billy should retire. He lost to the pound-for-pound King Canelo. He'll be back for sure. So he don't think he'll retire. He'll be back. God willing, that injury does allow him to come back. And yeah, but that's a good place to go next. Do you think, from what we know so far, Jay, with our experience at looking at fighters who did recover in Kell Brook and looking at fighters who didn't recover in Anthony Ogogo, at this stage, I know it's hard to say, but do you think Billy Joe will be able to recover health-wise?
Yeah, health-wise, he's a young man. I think he'd definitely be able to recover. He's probably had the best work done on his face over the weekend. I'm sure, like you said, it went well. So I think he will get back to health. But even that, if you say about Kell Brook, he recovered, but he ain't been the same fighter since it's happened in the Golovkin fight and the Errol Spence fight. I don't think Kell Brook's been the same. I know he had a couple of victories. I think it might have been 1 or 2 since then, but he just hasn't been the same. I think you'll have that little bit of doubt getting punched in the face, especially go down to the lighter size gloves when you go from sparring to the fight. You're always going to have that doubt, and if you have a doubt in a boxing ring, that's a bit of a problem. So for me, I would love to see him come back, but I don't know what the reaction will be emotionally, because obviously you're going to be worried about getting hit on that side. And the only fight I wanted Billy Joe to come back for would be the Triple G fight. And we all know Triple G's got power, and if he starts hitting you on that face as he done to Kell Brook, and then you've already had it done to you in your last fight against Canelo, it's pretty dangerous. So for his health-wise, I probably wouldn't want to see him in with Triple G, but that's the only fight I'd want to see Billy Joe come back for, if I'm being completely honest.
Right, okay, yeah, Triple G. And we'll talk about that, whether he's good at middleweight or super middleweight, whether he can get to middleweight a bit later. But Life Escapes is, what is going on with the fighters across the pond? That is the question. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that.
The Mexicans, I think, Joe. You know, the Mexicans coming over, aren't they?
Oh yeah, just what the upset? Not the upsets, but kind of the British guys getting done.
Yeah,
That's
Lara,
maybe what we think.
Straffron.
Yeah, Lara, Straffon. So the guys would get beaten. Just off the top of my head, we've had Josh Warrington, James Tennyson, Robbie Davis Jr., Billy Joe Saunders now. Yeah. So what's going on, Jay? What is going on?
I don't know. I know that was Canelo's 7th British victim, so he's just
Mm,
going through the British fighters. Canelo. I see him say to Eddie Earn, he went, "No disrespect, but I told you this was easy money before the fight." So that's how confident Canelo is now. He's at that level now where I think he knows that he's unbeatable. Like, I know he is beatable because he's been beaten. People might comment in saying, "Look, he got beat by Mayweather. He drew with Triple G." But I'm on about now, and there's different times in different fighters' careers, and right now, there's no one at super middleweight. I'll probably even go light heavyweight that's going to beat him, to be honest. I think the guy, he's in the gym every day. I think he was in the gym Monday. Like, the guy is relentless. And he's what every young boxer should look up to and inspire to be like, is Canelo Alvarez. That's what I get admired by him. It's not like he comes in, he's out of shape, comes in, wins the fight. It's just the way how professional he is. And yeah, I just think he's a top role model as well. And let's see what happens there. But going back to that question, there's some great fighters across the pond, but that's good for boxing. Some big fights could be made, and let's get it going. Like I keep saying, I'm a big fan of Andy Ruiz, Dillian White, another Mexican British fight. So yeah, let's keep these fights happening.
yeah, definitely. Kamal says, I know he will retire, no doubt. And I've heard a lot of people say that, Jay. A lot of people thinking that Billy Joe will retire. But I'm just picking up on there what you said about Canelo. It's his lifestyle. His mantra is no boxing, no life. And we know it's not a controversial thing to say that probably Billy Joe hasn't lived a life outside the ring through his whole career. And do you think that could have played an impact on that difference between world class and elite level, between like training in camps and living the life like Canelo does?
Oh, 100%. Like I was saying, going into this fight, I went with my heart quite a lot. I wanted Billy Joe to win. And you kind of dismiss some of the stats or some of the things that you would look at normal fights, and you just go with your heart and you go with the fighter you want to win. So yeah, like I said, the inactivity which we spoke about is crazy. And then I had a good point today that I heard online. I heard that someone said the David Lemieux fight was a great performance, but who has he fought since then? And it's just a true point. He ain't fought hardly anyone. If anything, he's gone backwards to the level that he was fighting. It's not all down to Billy Joe. It's probably down to trying to get the fights, different promoters. But going into an elite fight like that, and you look at Canelo, I know Yildirim, yeah, we'll forget that. But Callum Smith, Danny Jacobs, 2 Triple G fights. You stack it together, and it's not even comparable. And yeah, it's just the inactivity for Billy Joe. I just think he was really tired after the 7th round. I think that probably didn't help when you take a heavy shot like that. Yeah, it's just the inactivity. But unless it's Triple G, I don't want to see Billy. And it's up to him. Like, I would never criticize a fighter for wanting the fight or a fighter for retiring. It's totally up to the fighter. It's their choice. But I would only want to see Billy Joe against Triple G. But even then, I'd be worried because of the injury he just suffered in the last fight with the power Golovkin carries. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if he retires. He's a man of pride. He got to the top, and he'll think, look, I've got to the top, and that's it. But if I was Billy Joe, for a goal, if you want a goal, go for Triple G, beat Triple G, and then maybe get a Canelo rematch, because everyone can improve. Look, let's not be about it like we said about Canelo. Right now, Canelo's the best, but every fighter can train, improve, and get better. So, look, I ain't ruling nothing out, but personally, I want to see the Triple G fight if Billy comes back.
Brilliant.
At super or middle, so
yeah,
they can decide it themselves.
I think from what we've seen and what we've heard, I think Triple G's pretty set on staying at middleweight because obviously his power was there. We don't know, and if he can make middleweight, unless he's just going for the money, then I don't see why he would want to move up to super middleweight. Personally,
yeah, middleweight I think would work.
Yeah, if Billy Joe can get down to middleweight, and we'll come on to that a bit later. But W. Riles says Billy's done. Move on. He's the next. He's the new Prince Naz, rather. And yeah, so we did see Naz after he lost in a
Yeah.
fight, didn't we? I think was it 1 or 2 fights
I
after the
think it was
Guerrero
one
fight?
more fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had one more fight. Yeah, so we'll see. We will really see, and I think certainly, in my opinion, that I really wasn't sure whether he would want to return. And I'm still not completely sure, but his statement, although it was a short statement, and his initial thoughts after the fight suggested that at this stage he's looking to come back. That's what
Yeah.
I would say, and I don't know whether he's still got more fights on his contract with Eddie Hearn. So I don't know what happens there, because there was a lot of talk going into the fight that he will never fight
Yeah.
under Eddie Hearn again. And I don't know whether that was just done to build up the fight. I don't know, because during fight week it seemed like they had a good enough relationship. But
Yeah.
we'll soon see. We will soon see. And then W. Rilers again says he ain't beating no Triple G. Stop it. But it's certainly an intriguing fight because
It's all about timing.
yeah, I was
think
just about to
Triple
say,
G.
yeah, timing. Go on, Jay,
Triple
sorry.
G's coming to the end. I think like, look, it's going to take a year for his face to heal and probably get back to training and get to some sort of fitness. Let Triple G fight for another world title or nothing, and then come back, and then in a year's time, Triple G is going to be another year older. How old is he now? 37, 38? It's just all about timing. And you get other fighters that fight other fighters when they're near the end, and it's a good name to fight. I just think if you're Billy Joe, he done it with a David Lemieux, and we just said where it went wrong. He didn't stay at that sort of type of fighters. He went down a level, which,
Yeah.
like we said, rightly or wrongly. So now you fought Canelo, stay at that level. Danny Jacobs, he's gone up to super middle. That would be a great fight. I think that would be a nice fight. They're the sort of people that he probably needed to fight before Canelo, now thinking about it. So, maybe Danny Jacobs actually like that fight. What do you people think? You get in the comments if you think Danny Jacobs is a good fight. If you don't like the Triple G, he's gone up the super middle. I'm all over that. Or even there's loads of names out there if he wants to come back. Like you say, Billy Joe's a big name. The Chris Eubank fight, I don't think personally Billy Joe will entertain that. He won't want to put any money into Chris Eubank's pocket, especially after the untasteful thing the other day. People have their own opinions. I'm one of these that don't kick a fighter when they're down. I know they got their own beef and that, but I think all fighters, especially when it comes down to injuries, I wouldn't ever.
Did you not like then, Jay? Did you not like that video?
No, I know it's Chris's it's his personality in that. I know him and Billy Joe like to wind each other up, but look, it's a serious eye injury. I don't like it, but I didn't take any offence to Chris doing it, because I know that Chris Eubank, that's his personality, and I know that the relationship him and Billy Joe got, he done it the week before, didn't he? Put a bet on Marcus Morrison to beat Chris Eubank, like, it's that. But I don't really like that. I like the respect. I like when two fighters fight and at the end they embrace each other and they say, "Well done, thanks for the opportunity," and they just move on in their profession. I'm not one of them for the distastefulness, because at the end of the day, it's two gladiators in there going to war, and they've got families who are watching, who care for them, and you just want everyone to get home safe and that. But yeah, I didn't take any offence to what was happening, but I just didn't really like the video, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's had a pretty poor reaction online. I've seen a lot of people. I've even seen people who are giving Billy Joe a lot of stick, calling him saying he quit and everything like that. But I've seen at the same time they've been giving Chris Eubank Jr. stick for that video that he put out and the comments and all that. So again, it's subjective. A lot of people love that sort of thing because it's the arrogance and the character of the boxing. But yeah,
I like it before the fight. I just don't like it after. I like when you got the build up and you got your head dreading the face off and you got the beef. But I love all that before the fight, all that intense build up. We all get revved up, and then at the end you see that respect after a war. And I think you probably feel the same. You think, yeah, I love that. We've just seen an absolute war, a great build up, and then the respect at the end. And I think everyone's happy after that. Look at Derek Chisora. I like it. He gets a 5 guys, goes into his opponent, and they have a cuddle, they have a burger. And it's happy days. That's what it's all about. But obviously they got personal issues, which obviously stem from when they had their fight. But I don't think Billy Joe's a quitter. I know a lot of boxing fans might not watch MMA, which I'm a big fan of. You see this all the time, Joe, when in the corner pull him out because of an injury, and they never get called a quitter. It just gets, all that gets said is the corner's pulled them out. And nothing ever gets really put on the fighter unless you see the fighter go, get me out, or whatever. 9 times out of 10, they get pulled out by the corner. A lot of the times during the rounds, you get the refs come involved, and they get the doctor to come in and have a look at it during the round. So I see that. So he definitely 100% did not quit. But I was a bit alarmed. I don't know if you heard this statement. I heard that Ben Davison made the call, but I don't know if that's true. I heard that after Ben Davison said something, then they pulled him out. Because at the time we were a bit confused because he was in the corner and everything like that. But it was the right call to make. I'm just saying, I don't know what was going on in that corner, if you know what I mean. Billy Joe didn't say, don't pull me out. You saw him when it happened. Obviously, he knew what was happening to himself. So there wasn't anything from the fighter to say. That's where people's probably saying he's quit. You didn't normally you get a fighter who doesn't want to get pulled out. They stand up. They're going, no. But at the end of the day, once you've told the ref it's over and he's called it, it's off. And obviously, he must have been in so much pain. To be fair, the result wasn't even mattering to him at that moment in time. So, yeah, he definitely didn't quit 100%. So that is not an issue for me. And anyone who says that's stupid, and anyone who said that, let's see you get your face broken by Canelo and then see if you want to carry on. Because the T-shirt said it the other day, keep Canelo and carry on. Imagine taking one of them and carrying on. You would not be able to carry on.
Yeah, no. Andy Fritzel says, can't see him coming back now. He's achieved loads in his career. He was a world champion, unbeaten for years. He was just beaten by a super elite boxer. Sometimes you've got to say goodbye and move on. And again, a lot of people are saying it. A lot of people are saying it, even though we've said about the suggestion from Billy Joe's comments, even though it's only a few days after the fight, he probably needs at least a number of weeks to process the fight and have a good solid think about his future, his hunger for the sport, and the fights he wants to pursue. Because if you was in Billy Joe's position, or anyone who's just suffered a huge injury like this, Jay, would you want a tune-up fight first to just see how you are with after suffering that injury, seeing if you are gun shy, seeing if your timing's still there, seeing if your judging of distance is still there? Because I spoke to a friend of mine on Sunday evening who had actually had a similar injury to the eye in the amateurs, and he was out of the ring for about a year. But he said this side of his face where he'd had the injury, he couldn't feel it. It was numb for about 3 to 4 years after. So, wow. So that's shocking. And I was shocked when he told me that. But obviously he only had a year out. So if you was Billy Joe, really want to get back into the ring, Jay, does he have a tune-up fight first, or does he go in there with someone like your Danny Jacobs, your Triple Gs, maybe even like your Charlos if he moves down to middleweight? How would you go about it, knowing you're off the back of this huge injury?
It depends what the goals are for Billy Joe. Like, every fighter is different. Everyone has their own goals. I mean, Billy Joe's a 2-weight world champion, so he's accomplished more than what some boxers ever dream of achieving. You get some boxers who have a great career and they only become European champions. So a 2-weight world champion is a great success in anyone who's in boxing. So he's had a great career. So it depends what goals Billy Joe's got. But for someone like Billy Joe, we've seen him before when he has warm-ups, fights, shall we say, or tune-ups. He doesn't come in the best shape. Billy Joe is one of them fighters that has to fight the top sort of fighters to be motivated. And I think Billy Joe's a top fighter, a world-level fighter, definitely. No, I don't think a tune-up fight. And like you say, with the injury, it's a difficult one because you remember Anthony Gogo. He didn't just retire after the first time it happened. He kept having problems with his eyes. He come back, kept fighting, and he kept having issues with his eyes. I don't know if he had 1 or 2 more fights after the fight that he caused the injury. I think it was against Cunningham. I can't quite remember the guy Gogo suffered the injury against. Maybe Cunningham, but it's a difficult one. The best person to ask, and I would like to know, would be Kell Brook. because he broke it against Triple G, and then he broke the other one against Errol Spence, and then he's obviously come back. So, but I don't think Kell Brooks looked the same since he's come back. So I'd love to hear his opinion on it, because obviously it's someone that's experienced it and come back at a high level. So it all comes down to the person, their goals, what they want to do, and what they want to achieve. Billy Joe's achieved a lot, and I think that's why a lot of people are saying they don't think Billy Joe will come back. I think because everyone respects Billy Joe, they know what a great fighter is. He's got to the top. They know he's won world titles at 2 different weights. If you're a fighter that hasn't won a world title, you're pushing for that world title, and that's probably what's going to keep you going. It's what Billy Joe's, what his ambitions are, what his goals are. So I'm happy to see him come back. Like I said earlier, depending on who he fights, I don't want to see no tune-up fights. I don't want to see him fighting, obviously, the likes of Martin Murray and people like that. It's just, I don't think it's good for Billy Joe, and I don't think it's good for boxing. Billy Joe needs to be in the big fights, and if he had more big fight experience, I'm sure the fight could have gone longer. I'm not saying it would have gone any differently, because I probably don't think it would have done, but he probably would have been a bit more fitter and a bit more livelier in the fight at the weekend. But if you come back, Billy Joe, just go for Danny Jacobs, Triple G, the big names, like you said, Joe, and yeah, no warm-up fights.
Okay, yeah, no, I just playing devil's advocate there, Jay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really come into it, but I just thought maybe Billy Joe Saunders, who's such his style, where he's so reliant on his judging of distance, the way he's herky jerky, move around, and because we saw it against Canelo, I think round 5 and 6, his judgment of when to move, where his upper body movement, just slipping. Coming out of range, avoiding some of Canelo's punches. Maybe he would want to test it out to see if his eye, because it's his leading eye, don't forget, as a southpaw,
Yeah.
whether he's still got that, whether he's still able to see, to judge whether a punch will land or not. Because I saw a great thing on IFL TV with Anthony Agogo, where he said that the only way he can describe being blind in one eye, which I don't think Billy Joe will be, but we don't know, but is if you close one eye and do that, and if you match them up, then it's so hard to, because you've lost your kind of your sense of motion around you, and so it's going to be hard.
Balance in your eyesight.
Yeah, it's the balance. It's the perception. If you take one eye away, your perception changes. So I don't know, and it will be interesting.
Have you ever heard of the UFC fighter Michael Bisping, Joe?
Yes, I have heard of Michael Bisping. Yeah, Jay.
A prime example. The guy's got one eye now. I don't know if many people know this.
Yeah,
I think it's his right eye. He has a fake eye in there. It wasn't until he come out of the UFC that he told people that, I think his last couple of fights, he actually fought with one eye. He had to lie to the medical board, and that's due to an eye injury in fighting. So look, people, it's a serious injury. It's not nothing you can muck around about. Go out and check Michael Bisping. He talks about it online and that. You see him, he takes his eye out, and he goes in depth about how serious that eye injury was for him. And like I say, that's a former fighter who's lost his eye, people. So it's an absolute serious injury, and I totally agree with you, Joe. It's your balance and everything, your coordination, and that's what Billy Joe is, isn't it? He's a coordinated, skillful tactician fighter, and he needs his lead eye. And like I said, go back to round 8 after uppercut hit, and you'll see that he couldn't see the shots coming, and that's why he took another 3 or 4 shots to that eye. And yeah, it was painful to watch.
Yeah, certainly. W. Riles again says, that's what you get for talking trash about Dubois. He quit. End of story. So Billy Joe has obviously received a lot of criticism online because he made statements saying, I'd rather be carried out on an ambulance, which that in itself is causing a bit of criticism, because at the end of the day, it's a sport, some people are saying. I know Steve Bunce was very, very vocal about that. But what do you make of that, this whole scenario about maybe in the end it might look like to some people that Billy Joe ended up being hypocritical, because some people are saying he quit, but it's not, for me, it's not about whether Dubois and Billy Joe quit. Let's just say they didn't quit for the sake of this argument. What do you think the criticism is justified for Billy Joe Saunders, Jay?
Look, it's one of them things. I'm one of these that you can change your opinion in life. You get a lot of people that think when people have an opinion, you got to stick to that one opinion. I think evidence changes opinions, and look, I think if you ask Billy Joe Saunders today, it'd probably be a different statement to them what he said then, because now he's actually had his face broke. So when you haven't had your face broken in like that, you're going to have the opinion like he had. And I've got no issues with him having that opinion, because like I say, evidence now, he might say something different. At the time, when you're unbeaten, you're invincible, you would say I'd get carried out. I think every fighter says the same. Like, you had Deontay Wilder with his excuses when he said, I would have got carried out of there, but we all knew it was the right thing that he got pulled out. All fighters have the same mentality. They're gladiators. So, yeah, it's a bit like the Chris Eubank thing earlier. You know Billy Joe's personality. He comes out with throwaway comments like that. But I've seen Daniel's comments. He's not really took much offence to it and that. So if Daniel's not took no offence to it, I think no one else should take offence to it. I think they've even got the same trainer now, if I believe. And they got Mark Tibbs as both their trainer.
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so people making an issue out of it. Look, it's boxing. You could go back over the years in and out of fighters that have said other things about other fighters about quitting or whatever. Look at Anthony Joshua when he lost. It's totally two different scenarios. I think Daniel Dubois was over a sustained period of time that eye broke. I think the jabs over the rounds broke the eye, so the pain was probably building up, and then that last jab done whatever it done. So it wasn't the same sort of punches that caused the injury. Look, they both didn't win the fight. So that's we're in the results business. They both lost. I don't believe both of them quit. I didn't believe Daniel Dubois quit at the time. I believed he got hurt. I don't think he should have been let out for that next round after hearing the comments that his corner knew that he had the injury. And look, it would have been the same. If Billy Joe went out and then took a knee and then said, I didn't want to carry on, we would have been in the same situation as the Dubois one. I think Billy Joe's, his corner made the right choice, and that's that. That's why the corner's there. The corner's there to protect the fighters. So that's that. I don't think none of them quit, and I just think stop making a big deal out of it. I know people will make a deal out of it and that, but unless Daniel Dubois takes offence of it, I don't think anyone else should. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, certainly. And class comments from Daniel Dubois, though. His tweet, I don't know whether he's actually done any interviews. I haven't seen it. I don't know if you have, Jay. But, yeah, no, class comments from Daniel Dubois. And we're going to be seeing him back within the next few weeks back in the ring. So what's that? Probably 7 months he had out the ring in the end, if going into his next fight. So I'd assume Billy Joe would be out for longer than 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's like you say, a triple fracture. I think that's probably a bit worse. I don't know what Dubois was, if it was a triple or a single or a double. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't know the exact details on Dubois at the moment, but we'll just go to Matthew de Souza's question or comment here. Big shout out, Matthew. Another big supporter of the channel, always on these lives. Billy Joe Saunders should retire. He wasn't fully motivated before. Now that he's had the injury and millions in the bank, what is the point? And the whole thing now is about your hunger. Yeah. Billy Joe personally, although he's made a lot of money, he strikes me as a fighting man. And he said that. He said that along with him and Tyson Fury, they're just fighters and they just love the sport of boxing. But the whole thing with Billy Joe Saunders is he wanted to prove himself that he was the best, that he could beat the best on his night. So I don't know. It's all about his mentality going forward, because I've got to be honest, there'd be some great nights for Billy Joe Saunders if he carried on, and especially if he moved down to middleweight. And I think even in the UK now, I think his stock would have probably risen. I do think his stock would have risen against Canelo, because it only took someone to watch it to realise that he did have some success against the pound for pound king. And obviously we know Canelo was setting little traps. He was setting the motions, downloading information, to then come on strong, and in the end, we know the result. But I know what you said there, Jay, and I kind of agree that Billy Joe Saunders might not even want to entertain Chris Eubank Jr., and he might not even want to give him the money by giving him the fight, even though he'd be earning a lot of money. But for me, that fight would be huge in the UK, be absolutely massive, and I'd still like to see it. I don't know about you, Jay, but it would sell in the UK, definitely.
Oh, 100%. It would sell. Yeah, it'd be a great show. It'd be a great one at the O2 maybe, or Manchester Arena, or somewhere like that, or even an undercard for like AJ Fury. I know that wouldn't happen now, but I'm saying a big card like that or something. I think it would be a big fight. But weighing up, I was just going from Billy Joe's point of view. He's already beat the guy, so that's one thing. You don't need to fight him. He doesn't want to give him a payout. And if Billy Joe loses that fight, that will be the end. And Billy Joe's a man of pride. I don't think he'd want to go out losing to Chris Eubanks Jr. I just don't. That was Chris. You get chances in life, and that was Chris Eubanks' chance to beat Billy Joe when they fought for the British title. So it would make money. It would be a great fight. But I just think there's other great fights out there for Chris Eubanks Jr. And if Billy Joe comes back, I just want the Danny Jacobs or Triple G fight. I don't want. I kept saying this. Billy Joe's career went. He took a step forward, 2 steps back. And I just think keep going back over old news and that. It's just going backwards for the guy. But like we said, it's his hunger and ambition. What does Billy Joe want to do? Does he want to come back and win another world title, or does he want to make more money? He said it ain't about money. So if he wants another world title, then try and win another one. But the thing, Fury and Billy Joe, the only issue I had with them over the years is that they are fighting men, but it was always difficult for them to make fights. I don't know if you agree or not. There was always loads of fights that was going to happen, didn't happen, didn't. And I feel like the fights that Tyson and Billy Joe want, they can make easy. But if there's fights that they're not that they're not too sure about or whatnot, but there's some fights that seem to be difficult for them to make. But then when there's fights that they want, they can seem to make quite easily. So I've always thought the situation. Look at this one with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. It's taken ages, but when he wanted to fight Wilder, it was done in like 5 minutes. Why is that? Like, there's got to be some sort. It's questions I don't know, so I'm just thinking of trying in my head. I can't try and think of the answers, but yeah, I just think that Billy Joe needed to fight better quality opponents over his career, and that was that really.
I definitely think it was hard to get him opponents. I must admit, from 2 standpoints: a promotional standpoint. Because I don't think. Go on, Jake. Go on.
But what are their teams like negotiation wise? It's all right saying I want that fight. There's loads of times when he wants that fight, but were they playing hardball and then the other team thought I ain't playing these tricks? Because we see the tricks on fight week, the size of the ring, this, that, and the sort of characters that Tyson and Billy Joe come across. They probably like that in negotiations a little bit. I don't know. I'm just saying. But there's loads of fights over the years with Tyson Fury that were meant to happen, didn't happen. Sometimes his fault, sometimes others. But I'm just saying, when they want the fights, they're made quite easy. But when there's fights that maybe, I don't know, it could be a harder challenge. You can't say Wilder's a harder challenge, but obviously Fury saw something there that he wanted to fight him. But I'm just saying, sometimes I thought, how many times did we hear that Billy Joe was fighting Golovkin or fighting Canelo? There was loads of times it was talked about, and negotiations always broke down or whatever. So I don't know whether they're difficult to negotiate with. That's maybe why Billy Joe hasn't been in such high level fights. I'm not too sure, but that was the only thing I ever thought about was why was he never, or why were these fights never made? Because surely they can be made pretty easy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it's like a money issue with bringing fighters over, getting the big shows in the States. Yeah, so it's an interesting one that I must admit, because I do think another thing is their style, because both of them have an incredibly difficult style to fight. And
oh yeah, 100%, yeah, definitely.
If you're an upcoming fighter, say coming up the rankings, if you'd look at, if you was a middleweight / super middleweight, looking at Billy Joe Saunders, or if you was looking at a heavyweight, looking at Tyson Fury, you'd look at them and you'd think, oh, it's going to be a hard night's work, whatever.
Yeah.
whatever the instance is. So yeah, I think that might be a bit of it, but I'm not sure. It's all good. It's all good, interesting points. So keep them comments coming in, guys, and we'll try and get through as many as possible tonight. Wrapping up the old Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight, whatever you want tonight. We're gonna plow through them. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button for Pep Talk UK, and we'll be bringing out loads of these live streams. And it's what are we now? We're 3 days on from the fight. We've let it digest. We've digested the fight. Oh, you said you've watched it a few times since the fight. I think I watched it about 2 or 3 times on Sunday afternoon. But yeah, it's a good way to finish it up. And Shaz says would like to see him back at middleweight if he sheds the pounds. And I was looking at the box rec rankings today, just heading into this live stream, just seeing the possible fights for Billy Joe Saunders, just having a look who was around him, and I didn't realise it's not the most stacked division, super middleweight division right now. I've got to say, it's not the biggest division. There's a lot of guys in and around there, but at the top, you've kind of got Canelo, Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, I think, is moving up to light heavy. So, yes, hard.
Yeah.
But so first of all, do you think there's more fights to be made at middleweight for Billy Joe? And do you think he could make the middleweight weight limit?
I think he probably could with dedication. He can make the weight limit, but does he really want to? Like, look at him. He looked in great shape at the weekend at super middleweight, and he was training for 4 months for that. So, I think Billy Joe's better at 160. I think he doesn't really have the power to trouble anyone at 168. We see at 160, he wasn't the biggest puncher. It's down to his skills and his timing. Billy Joe is better at 168. Let's get that right. He is much better, but can he get down to 168 now? 160 now. I mean, that's a different matter. I think it would be difficult for him. He's getting older. He's in his 30s. If he trained like Canelo trains every day, then I think Billy Joe could easily make 160. But like we see him when he's not in camp, and he probably ain't going to be training for a while with his injury now, so he might balloon up maybe a stone, 2 stone with his eye injury. So the best Billy Joe is at middleweight. Do I think he'll get there? No, I don't think he will. I think that a lot of middleweights now are going to be going up to super middleweight. We've seen obviously Canelo jump up. We see Billy Joe jump up. I think Andrade needs to jump up. We saw in his last fight. I think he gets tired. I think he needs more energy. And I think with the more energy and more strength at 168, Andrade would look better. Even the Charlo brothers going up, I think they're quite tall. I think they could fill out into the weight. And I think Triple G could be at super middleweight. I know his power's at 160, but 8 pounds, I think. And he's getting older. It's harder to lose the weight. It's not a stacked division, but I think in the next 6 months to a year, you will see a lot of fighters going up, and that division will be getting a lot stronger, I think, Joe. So I do agree it's not very stacked at the moment, and if Billy Joe wanted to come back, there probably isn't too much. But if Canelo's got all the titles, he probably would like to try Canelo again. He probably felt like he was in the fight. That shot obviously changed it, but it's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one. But I do think the super middleweight, I think Canelo's making the super middleweights sexy again. A bit like Anthony Joshua with the heavyweights. And everyone wants Canelo. You've seen all the middleweights saying, I want you, Canelo, I want you. I see it after the fight, Andrade coming to the press conference, and I see Canelo telling him, get out of it. I didn't want to swear. Obviously, Canelo swore, but yeah, get out of here. Who have you fought? And I like that. I like that about Canelo. Canelo's actually now saying, like, he's not letting people disrespect him, and he's saying to you, you want to fight me, then get in line. Start fighting some people, and then I'll fight you, because he's obviously not ducking anyone. But Andrade, he's not even at super middleweight at the moment. So jump up, you're WBO champion, you'll be mandatory for the title, and let's go for it then. Have one fight at super middleweight, and then fight Canelo. So yeah, the next year or so, I think the super middleweights will get a lot stronger.
Yeah, no, I just got up the box rec rankings for the middleweight division, and some nice looking fights for if Billy Joe Saunders wanted to get and could get back down to the 160 limit. So I'll just reel them off for people in the comments and for you, Jay, just to give your opinions on a few of these fights, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
So if we go, I'll just start off. We got Ryota Murata at number 7, obviously, who it's rumored that Triple G will be fighting, and well, imagine if Murata pulled it off and actually pulled off an upset against Triple G in that fight. That'd be shock. First of all amazing. It catapulted his name, and I wouldn't see why not Billy Joe would love that fight if he did pull the shot, because it's kind of the man who beat the man who he wants to fight in Triple G. So what do you think about Murata? First of all, do you rate him as a fighter?
I haven't seen too many of his fights, I'll be totally honest with you, Joe. I've obviously heard of him. I've seen a couple of highlights in that. Yeah, I've heard the Triple G fight is looking pretty likely, I think, in September for that fight. Triple G now is at that type of time in his career where he's a perfect opportunity for someone to beat him. And it'd probably be someone that you would have thought 3 or 4 years ago wouldn't beat him. So if Murata beats him, yeah, it'd be a shock, but it's down to timing. And that's why I think Billy Joe at 160 would be perfect to fight Triple G in a year's time. I think Triple G would be another year older. I just think the speed, obviously the power of Triple G is deadly, and we all know that. But I'm just thinking maybe timing, Billy Joe could get that fight. But yeah, Murata, Triple G, I'll probably go for Triple G, win that one. But if Murata got a win, Billy Joe go for it. Well, for Billy Joe, either at super middleweight fight Danny Jacobs or Triple G / middleweight, super middleweight, or at middleweight fight someone for a world title. That's what I'd like to see. So yeah, Murata wins. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, I just see it 6th in the rankings. What we said about a potential tune-up fight, and I'm not saying by any stretch this would be a tune-up fight for Billy Joe Saunders. It'd be an extremely hard fight. But if he wanted to test himself at a higher level before stepping into an elite level, I see a name, Erislandy Lara. Another southpaw, another tricky southpaw. Come off a great win on the undercard of Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola 2 weeks ago, I think now. He's 38 years old. He's recently moved up to middleweight. What do you think of that fight? I think that'd be rather interesting.
Well, we can see Lara can bang still. Yeah, to be honest, Joe, I don't like watching two southpaws fight because sometimes it goes into a bore fest. So
yeah,
they always counter each other, the footwork and that. They're always tripping over each other and that. And yeah, sometimes it can be a bit sloppy with two southpaws. But yeah, no, it's a great name. I would like to see Lara versus Triple G. I think that would be a good fight. We saw Lara can still bang. That would be, I'd say it would be difficult for Billy Joe, just in the sense of that Lara still can bang. I would think Billy Joe would beat him. Yeah, it would be a good fight. It would be a good fight. I do like that one, Joe. You did pluck that one out there. That caught me off guard. So yeah, that is a good matchup. But you'd get criticism. You get people saying Lara's 38 years old and all this and that. Yeah, but no, yeah. Thinking about it, I would like that fight. It'd go two ways. It'd be a boring fight, or it'd be a really entertaining fight. So it's one of them. So it's a flip 'em. Oh, and Joe is
sorry.
Yeah, you. Did I bore you, Joe? Did I send you asleep?
No, sorry. I think had technical issues. I think there. Just I don't know what happened there, mate. But we're back. And yeah. Just said, Erislandy Lara. It'd be a very interesting fight, to say the least. And then two more quick names I'll throw at you. Boo Boo Andrade is unfinished business there, I think. And a young gun, which obviously, but still a great name, is Jaime Munguia. What do you make of them two? If potential fights for Billy Joe, or even potential fights for Canelo?
The Munguia one, that's a great one. I think he's a good fighter. I really like him. So I think any person that he's fighting, I'll be interested to watch. So for any of them two, that'll be a great fight. What was the name you said before that, Joe? Sorry.
Boo Boo Andrade.
Yeah, Andrade. Yeah, as you said, they've got a bit of beef before. They had that fight that was booked, but then Billy Joe obviously had to pull out of it. Yeah, it's two southpaws. Yeah, no, I would like to see that just because of the storyline. I do like a storyline. I like that there was a bit of beef before. I personally would like that at 168, just because I said obviously I don't really. I think Andrade needs to move up, and I think it'd be better. But we're going middleweights. I think Billy Joe would definitely beat Andrade at middleweight on Andrade's last performance. I think at spells he looks elite, but after round 3 or 4, his performances dropped dramatically, and I think anyone at world level could cause him problems. But we need that breakout fight for Andrade. We need him to fight a big name. So yeah, no, them fights are good fights, Joe. They're good matchups. So I would be intrigued to see all of them.
Fantastic, and I think we hope we do see him. We hope we do see him as long as Billy Joe wants to fight, as long as his health is back up to standards, and as long as he is the same fighter as before the Canelo fight, because we'd hate to see a shadow of Billy Joe's former self and we'd hate to see him change his style, have to change his style because he is not able to. We don't want to see a half Billy Joe. We want to see the full Billy Joe that we love to watch, because you've said it, Jay, and I know a lot of people disagree with us here, but we love Billy Joe Saunders' style. We love to see that sort of style, that slick, beautiful boxing. So, and it would be a shame. It'd be a shame to not see him fight at least a few more times.
Yeah, no, of course it would. But if he went out like that, then fantastic. It was a great night.
Yeah.
Look at 70,000 people. The event was fantastic. He fought the best in the world. So that like if he went out, then I'm happy. I've enjoyed his career. He's being a boxing fan. I've had some great nights watching Billy Joe. I'm a big fan. Like I said, I've followed him since the Olympics. And yeah, no, I just want him to fight well. If he does come back, I don't want him coming back like you say. I don't want him worrying about the eye injury, changing his style, like maybe becoming one of them fighters where he jabs and holds all the time because he's worried about getting caught and just scraping through. I don't want that, and I don't think Billy Joe would do that. I think Billy Joe, if he feels like he can get to 100% and compete again, then he may come back. If he doesn't, then he doesn't need to. Like, to be fair, I think it is controversial, but I would like Billy Joe as a pundit or something. Not maybe commentary, but you know, when they get their fighters there, they get their opinions before the fights. Because Billy Joe has got great boxing knowledge, great IQ, and I'm sure there's loads of things out there for him to do. Oh, Joe's gone again. So, yeah, I'll just keep here. So let's look at the comments. Billy Joe Saunders needs to call it a day. Besides, he won't be the same fighter if he continues. No, that's a great comment. We've just been saying that. Is he back? He's back again.
Oh, wow. I think I've just accidentally connected to some kind of McDonald's Wi-Fi or something. I don't know what's going on here tonight.
I think you got Shoei's Wi-Fi from about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely. It's working its way down to Essex. So sorry about that. Sorry about that, Jay. Sorry about that to the viewers. Yeah, hopefully that's fixed now. Hopefully get that back on, get that back working. I've never suffered from that before. But yeah, we'll plough through from some questions if that's all right with you, Jay.
Yeah, of course.
So Nathan says Billy Joe Saunders should have been at 160 in my opinion. He's not at a I don't know that abbreviation. What's SMW?
Small middleweight.
Small middleweight. Well done, Jay. I don't know this. I'm not down with the text talk, but I never gave him much chance against Canelo. Regardless, good boxer, but he has been too inactive and ill-disciplined in my opinion. See, I know that one, and yeah. So we'll go with we've spoke about the inactiveness, but is it important now for him to stay disciplined and take that mantra of Billy Joe's, of Canelo's in the no boxing, no life, and just live the life for the years he's got left if he does choose to fight Sanjay?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think Billy Joe's a busy man. I think he's got other things outside of boxing that he does, like maybe business interests and that. It's hard to be dedicated like that because you don't see every fighter like that. Because if you did, then they'll probably all be at the same sort of levels. I think the game's changed the last few years. I think people in the last 5 to 7 years, I think that fighters are now becoming full-time fighters. So the mentality's changing. Before, you used to like see with Ricky Hatton, he'd fight, get in shape for 3 months, and then for 4 months he's not even in camp. I think them days are gone for fighters. There's still a few out there, a couple of old school ones, but it's difficult for Billy Joe to get motivated. I think when you're lining these tin cans up for him and that, like, he just doesn't get motivated. That's what I'm saying. A warm up fight. He might want a warm up fight just to test the face, like you said, Joe. But I just don't believe that Billy Joe. He's like Tyson Fury. They need big fights. We saw it when he fights people like Otton Wallen and people like that. He just doesn't. They just don't turn up. They're there for the big night. So unless it's a big opponent, then I just don't see Billy Joe putting in the effort all the time, because they want to fight the best, and that's it. If they're not fighting the best, then they believe that half of them can beat half the. They believe a half fit Billy Joe Saunders can beat any other fighter. So no, unless it's a big fight, Billy won't get motivated. I don't believe.
Okay, no. So it's kind of like a leopard don't change your spots. Like, if you've wanted to live that life, and don't get me wrong, I'm not criticising it. If you choose to do that, and you feel like that's the way you want to live, then I'm not going to criticise it. But we just see from Canelo that maybe Canelo wouldn't be the fighter he is if he maybe ballooned up in weight, was ill-disciplined, maybe had inactivity. So it's down to the fighter at the end of the day. And yeah, so we'll go on to boxing pigeons. And where was Billy Joe's so-called defence, bending down right in front of Canelo constantly throughout the fight? Want my honest, nasty view and not trolling. At times, Bill looked like Charlie Zelenoff. Right, so is it harsh, Jay?
No, what he was doing was wrong. He shouldn't have been ducking in with his head. But what I thought he was doing was the same sort of tactic that Tyson Fury done against Wilder. I don't know if you recall. He was ducking down with his head and trying to get in close to try and take the power away from the shot of Deontay Wilder. And I think Billy Joe was trying that, but Canelo figured out, because you look when that uppercut landed, it was waist height. It wasn't even up at his face because he ducked down. So what he realised that Billy Joe was doing that because he threw that shot a couple of times in the rounds before, trying to test the water, and he just missed it. Billy Joe ducked down and Canelo just missed. So I think that kind of might have been a tactic by Billy Joe. He tried, when he was coming in, he didn't leave his head out. He was coming in, ducking down, thinking he could take the power away from Canelo. But Canelo proved, because he's so devastating with them uppercuts and them hooks, that he can generate power from the hip. And when it connected, and to be fair, that probably what broke Billy Joe's face, him dipping down, because he put more weight and more power into the punch, so it helped Canelo's punch. So no, what that comment was correct. He shouldn't have been coming down, ducking down with no defense like that. That is right. But I think what Billy Joe was doing was trying to do it as more as a tactic way. And if you notice, when he hit Billy Joe was sideways, so it was like a weird. Normally, when a right hand lands like that, the person's straight in front of you. Billy Joe ducked down, was at the side, and it was just, yeah, he shouldn't be ducking down like that. But like I just think he was trying to get close to try and take away Canelo's power. But yeah, no, it was a fair enough comment there. I don't disagree so much with it.
Yeah, no, and Thunder Road, just a question for the West Ham geezer on the left. Well, I've changed now, so I'm assuming that's me. Well, bear in mind you're a big Man United fan, Jay, so I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What happened to Sam McNess? Retired? Yeah, I think you're old Sammy McNess. So welterweight, based down my way. I think he fought Michael Mickinson, I believe, and yeah, I think that he hasn't fought since then. 2018, that may have been. I think off the top of my head, and yeah, no. I don't know for a fact, but yeah, it looks like he's retired there. So yeah, sorry I can't give you a definitive answer on that one, Thunder Road. But yeah, that's my
bit of research for you to do there, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get up on the old box rec. Just get up on there as the show goes on potentially. But yeah, no, I remember saying McNess. But yeah, boxing pigeons again. There he goes. It totally didn't look like Saunders in the ring. It looked scared from the get-go. Oh, oh. What do you think of that, Jay? Was he scared from the get-go, or did he? Because I know he's received some appraisal from a lot of the people in the industry for finding his rhythm in probably round 5 and 6. I'd probably say. Yeah, did he look scared?
No, he didn't look scared. I think Billy got a bit too overconfident. I think Canelo allowed him in. What Canelo does well, he lets your opponent get confident, so then he can see the shots that you're going to throw or the movements you're going to make. And I think in them middle rounds, Billy Joe got so confident that then when he was dipping in like he was, he didn't think there was going to be any consequences. So, no, Billy Joe definitely wasn't scared. Behave. People who say that is ridiculous. He wasn't scared. Look at his entrance when he come out, how confident he was, playing to the crowd, stuff like that. Billy Joe was relaxed, and he's a fighting man. He's had many fights in his life, probably in and out of the ring. So, no, I definitely don't think he was scared. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, no, definitely. With the whole thing, I can't see. I don't like it when people say fighters are scared anyway, really, because it takes a lot of bottles to get in the ring. Get in the ring with the pound for pound #1 Canelo in front of over 70,000 screaming Mexican fans, all screaming against you. So I don't think. I wouldn't like to say Billy Joe Saunders was scared, because at some points he landed a couple of combinations on Canelo, which is more than some people have done. So yeah, no, I think Billy Joe Saunders, he met his match, didn't he? We keep going over it. We can go over it as much as possible, but Canelo Alvarez is probably he's my pound for pound #1. I think he's yours, Jay. If he's not in your pound for pound top 3, then I don't know. Then I'll be certain he's in 99% of people's pound for pound top 3.
Well, he's got to be, because pound for pound, I believe you can only be in the pound for pound list if you go up in the weights. If you stay in your own one weight, I don't think you can pick. Obviously, you can be the best fighter in the world or whatnot, but pound for pound, you're proving it against other world-class fighters at different weight levels. And Canelo's gone to 4 weight classes. So he's definitely got to be pound for pound. If you get a heavyweight, you can't say they're pound for pound because they're just in one weight class. Obviously, everyone classes the heavyweight as the best division, but you don't really. I'd love to see a heavyweight win a heavyweight title, go down the cruiserweight, win that, and then win a heavyweight again. You never see that, do you?
No,
because I think it's more impressive when you go down in weight. You see it a lot in MMA. It's very difficult. You see a lot of fighters go up and win. Yeah, you see there was a fighter called TJ Dillashaw. He was world champion, and he went down a weight and got beat. It's very difficult for a fighter to go down and win a world title. You think it'd be easier, but it is quite difficult. Yeah, so pound for pound, Canelo's definitely #1.
Out of curiosity, then, Jay, off the top of your head, what is your pound for pound top 3 for now? We'll probably have a whole live on pound for pounds at some point, but yeah, let us know if you want that in the comments. But yeah, what is your pound for pound top 3 at the top of your head at the minute?
Top of my head, obviously Canelo's #1. Pound for pound #1, I'd say Lopez, just because of the person he beat in Lomachenko. I know I'm on about people moving up in weights and that, and I don't have the list in front of me right now to go through it properly, but Lomachenko was in my top 3, so if he was #2, you've got to give the man who beat him his slot. So yeah, I'd go Lopez at #2. No, I'll go Lopez #3, and I'll go Crawford #2.
Okay.
So, because Crawford, he's gone up in a weight. He was a lower weight. He's gone up. He's won a world title. He's very avoided as well, and I think he's such a good fighter, Terence Crawford. I think he's really. I know a lot of people like him, but I don't think he's as highly rated as what a lot of people give him credit for. I think he should be spoken about a lot more, but I believe that's because no one wants to give him the big fights. If he was in more bigger fights, he'd be more of a name. But yeah, my #3, I'll go 1 Canelo, 2 Crawford, #3 Lopez. But obviously people might debate Lopez, but I'm just putting him there because the man that I had at #3, he beat. So I just think it's fair to pick the guy who beat him there. So
it's all subjective.
What's yours, Joe?
Oh, I don't know. I should have been prepared for that, asking you that question, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, Canelo number one. And then I'm just going to throw a couple of names out there. Crawford, yeah. Tio, probably pound for pound top 10. I wouldn't put him probably in my top 3 at this point. Although, obviously, I can't fault the win over Lomachenko. Naoya Inoue, I've been a huge
Oh
fan
yeah,
of Inoue.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
That's a good
him. I
shout.
love watching him. Yeah, Inoue. Yeah, no.
Josh Taylor. I don't forget. See, I didn't have a list in front of me. Let me change this again. Josh Taylor's now number 3.
Oh wow, you put
Crawford
him
number
pound for pound
2.
number 3.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
wow. How can you not? He's Ring Magazine champion at his weight. He's fighting top contenders. Yeah, I'd go Josh Taylor 3, Crawford 2, Canelo 1.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let us know if you want that video, guys. I think I'd be up for potentially doing that if we maybe got a couple of people
Yeah,
on there. We'll
100%.
discuss our pound for pound top 10s maybe halfway through the year, little pound for pound top 10. But we'll go. Well, for now, we'll quickly go back to the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight. But yeah, that'd be a really interesting conversation to go through if we actually sat down and thought of it before going into the video. But yeah, no. But I think the whole point of that was just emphasising that Canelo, without thinking about it too much, just goes in your head straight away, pound for pound number 1.
Yeah.
Like, we can debate around 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to probably 20 if we wanted to. But for the most part, a lot of people will say Canelo Alvarez number 1. And
Yeah.
that's a massive achievement.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the only boxer that reminds me of Canelo is Anthony Joshua, in the fact of that he's in the gym non-stop, the business and how popular they are. Like they're just so. I just find them so similar. Just their stature, the way they are. I think there's only 3 boxers in boxing, should I say, that I think are at that level, and that's Canelo, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury. Them 3 alone, their names, I think, just stand alone compared to everyone. I think them 3 are elite. And then you got world class underneath that. I just think that them 3, their names, what they bring viewers wise, what they bring in a business sense, as the full package, everything. And I think it's very rare to get the world watching when they fight. And I believe when them 3 fighters fight, no matter who they fight, the world watches. Because with Tyson Fury, you might say, oh, he fought an Otten Wallen, but everyone watched it. That's the difference. I know Canelo and Anthony Joshua are fighting people like contenders, mandatories, or whatever, big names off the bat. But even if Anthony Joshua fought, I don't know, say he fought Charles Martin again in his next fight, if the Fury fight didn't happen, everyone's going to watch it still, isn't they? No matter who they are. If Canelo, when he fought Yildirim, everyone's still tuned in. He still had a 12-minute entrance. It's the same. Do you know what I mean? It's them sort of fighters attract them sort of viewing numbers and them sort of powers and money and everything like that. So them 3 there are elite, and then anyone below that is just world class. But in the terms of business and stature, Canelo is absolutely massive. And look, like I'm saying, I'm putting him with 2 heavyweights, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and that's it. And I'll put a statement out there now: the Canelo of now would beat the Mayweather of when he fought him then. I believe that right now. I believe it was a different weight class. Welterweight, that's Mayweather's weight. But I believe if Canelo was at super middleweight and Mayweather was at super middleweight, Canelo would beat Mayweather.
Yeah,
I think this is Canelo's weight.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's Canelo's weight division. It's just hard because obviously Mayweather was much smaller. I don't think there was no chance he was ever going to go up to super middle.
Oh no,
so it's one of them.
The welterweight Canelo, Mayweather beats him as he did.
Yeah,
but a bigger size Canelo, I don't think that Mayweather would beat him. But we'll never know. But that's just my opinion. I just believe Canelo right now is the best fighter in the world.
Yeah. Guys, smash that like button, Pep Talk UK, hit the subscribe button, keep your comments coming. We'll plough through a few now. But Nathan, here we go. Jamie Pugh, who also happens to be my dad. So, hello, Dad. But do you think Canelo was lifting his arms and appear to do you think Canelo was lifting his arms and appeared to taunt Billy Joe Saunders to test his eyes? Because that's how I read it. Wow, you make an interesting point.
Yeah.
First of all, what do you think of that, Jay? Obviously, after that uppercut, we see Canelo put his arms up, kind of taunting, maybe getting the crowd going. But what do you think? Do you think that might have been a little test? Because I wouldn't put it past Canelo with his brain and his ability to think whilst fighting.
Oh no, definitely. First of all, I'd like to say evening, Mr. Pugh. Nice comment there. We can see where Joe gets his boxing brain from. So, because that was a great question. Yeah, no, like I said earlier, when I went back and watched the fight, Canelo done that because he knew he broke his eye, and he knew he wanted the crowd up because he knew that the end was going to be near. He sensed blood. That's all it was. He knew the end was near, and yeah, at the time I thought I didn't know what was going on, like we said earlier. But then hearing Canelo's comments after the fight saying I knew I broke his cheekbone, and then seeing like his reaction with his arms in the air and then going for that right eye. He definitely had it, but it probably was to taunt Billy Joe as well. Obviously, when you've got your opponent hurt, then it's probably a great feeling. And he had 70,000 Mexicans to cheer him on, and yeah, they were going crazy watching it back. They were going absolutely ballistic. I see the audience beyond, and they were going nuts. So yeah, no, it was a great question, but no, I think Canelo knew he had him hurt, and he was just revving the crowd up for the end.
Yeah, great. We'll just go back to Nathan's question just before. He said, Billy Joe isn't a big puncher and fades in fights a lot. I felt he would get stopped mid-late, but no shame in losing to an elite fighter like Canelo. And yeah, it's echoing what we've said all night. Billy Joe Saunders, world-class boxer. Hope he comes back. And yeah, it's no shame in losing to what we just established there as the pound for pound number one in Saul Canelo Alvarez. And I see this here. Robert Harrison says, what if Billy Joe came back and beat Andre? And it's a what if. It's a perfectly reasonable what if, because it could potentially happen. I don't know what weight, but if Andre wants to stay at middle, I know he said he wants to move up eventually, but if he stays at middle for a couple more fights and Billy Joe managed to get down to 160, then Andre's got his old WBO belt. And as we said, it is a bit of an old beef. So, yeah, no, I could see that fight potentially being made both under the Matchroom banner. But first of all, do you think Billy Joe would want that fight?
I think, Joe, what could happen? Say, let's do hypothetical.
Cool.
Billy Joe's going to be out for a year. I think Andrade should go up to super middleweight, fight someone like a Danny Jacobs or anyone like that, get a win, because he keeps the win. He's mandatory for the WBO. I think Canelo beats Caleb Plant and goes to 175. So then all the titles become vacant. Then I would like to see Billy Joe versus Andrade for the world title. That would be a good fight. This is what I'm saying. If it's a big fight or a world title fight, I would like to see Billy Joe come back for that. And I think he would definitely be motivated after the beef they had before. And I don't know if you agree with me. I think 168 WBO title would be a good fight, Andrade versus Billy Joe. Canelo, I don't think once he beats Caleb Plant, he may want to keep defending it against up-and-comers or whatnot. But I just think he'd want to go on. He's going to have another goal. And his goal probably would be, look, I've already won one title at light heavyweight. Let's look around. I think he could beat Bivol. I don't think he will. Bivol's performance in his last fight against Richards, I thought Richards performed really well. But obviously between Richards and Canelo, it's worlds apart. And I just think, I know Canelo's a lot smaller, but I just believe his ring craft and that. And I do believe Canelo would beat Bivol. So I think Canelo, after beating, if he beats Caleb Plant, I don't want to be too respectful to Caleb Plant because he's a great fighter in his own right. If he beats Caleb Plant in his next fight, I think Canelo go up and all the titles could scramble around. And I think there's some good fights. Maybe even Andrade versus Billy Joe for the WBO. Yep, I'm up for that. Yeah, I'm up for that. That's quite tasty. Super middleweight.
Yeah, no, because if that situation did come off there, Jay, obviously, if Andre moves up with the WBO, the way they work, they become mandatory. if they hold the WBO title in one weight division, they will become mandatory or number one in the weight division they move up. So he will instantly be number one or mandatory for Canelo. And then if Canelo goes on to become undisputed, or Caleb Plant becomes undisputed, because that fight will be for the undisputed titles. It's rare we see fighters continuously defending an undisputed title, because there's so many mandatories. All four belts have continuous mandatories, and then if you want voluntary, so it's hard. And so then potentially we could see Chris Eubank Jr. Sorry, not Chris Eubank Jr. Just reading the next question out. We could see Billy Joe Saunders versus Demetrius Andrade for the vacant super middle WBO title. Is that what you're getting at there, Jay?
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I think that's what would make sense for me if if we were going to see the Andrade fight. I'm just saying that's how I think it could plan out. Like I said, I don't think Canelo would stay around. He may prove us wrong, but I just think he'd have more goals that he'd want to achieve. And and I think the belts will scramble around. And Andrade versus Billy Joe Saunders, the rematch that should have happened at middleweight, now at super middleweight. It's a great fight.
Yeah, definitely. And Eddie Ernest said he'd love to bring him over to the UK. He'd have no problem with that. So that could be a huge fight.
Canelo said he'd like to come to the UK as well.
Yeah, and that leads me on to the next question. Thunder Road says Mauricio Suleiman does not like Eubank Jr. How does Yildirim get a fight against Canelo before Brighton's finest? And we discussed on Saturday night / Sunday morning about whether Chris Eubank Jr. will get his opportunity. But like you said there, if Canelo wants a fight in the UK, and it's going to be at middleweight or super middleweight, or probably will be at super middleweight, because I doubt he will go down to middleweight. Who else is there in the UK apart from Chris Eubank Jr., Jay?
I'd watch Canelo fight anyone in the UK. It doesn't have to be British for me. And I think that would be better I think that would be good for British boxing. Imagine having someone like Canelo fighting another big name in Britain. That would be huge, because that would be big for British boxing, not just for the fact that we've got British fighters, but just that big elite fighters want to come to the UK to stage a fight. So, yeah, I don't think the Caleb Plant fight could be made in the UK, but I'm sure in the future there could be some big names for Canelo. UK fighters, Chris Eubank, I think, is a good fighter. I've got no bad bones with Chris Eubank Jr., but please, man, fight someone that's world class and get a win, and then I'll be happy to talk about fighting people like Canelo. We've seen it with Billy Joe Saunders, who's beat Chris Eubank Jr., who everyone said was probably the best in Britain at super middleweight / middleweight, and Canelo just broke the guy's face. So Chris Eubank, man, you can't fight Michael Morrison and beat him on points and then call out someone like Canelo. It's just crazy. It's different worlds apart. But look, Chris, come fight a Danny Jacobs or something, get a win there, and wow, look, man, I'll be supporting you. And that's that. But yeah, you got to be fighting big names before you're calling these big names out there. And the Yildirim got it because he fought a mandatory about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember who it was against, but it was a mandatory fight. And the guy just didn't fight for about a year or two. He just stayed as the mandatory. He waited for the opportunity to fight Canelo. So that's how Yildirim got it. If Yildirim defended it, I think he fought Durrell, if I'm correct. I think it was Anthony Durrell. Something happened in that fight. I can't remember what happened, but he just waited around. He didn't defend his mandatory status or anything. He just waited for Canelo to come around. So that's how Yildirim got that slot.
Yeah, and obviously Billy Joe Saunders has beat Anthony Yildirim. Not Billy Joe, Chris Eubank Jr. Sorry, has beat Anthony Yildirim, and we see that there. But from my perspective, certainly, I think, although it'd be fantastic for the hardcore boxing fans to be able to watch, maybe, okay, so we might not get a Caleb Plant Canelo fight in the UK. Maybe let's pluck another big name out there. Although it'd be absolutely huge for Canelo versus David Benavidez, say.
I follow
it'd
that.
be absolutely huge. But I think to unlock the potential of selling out a big stadium, you're going to need some of the casual fans. And that's where the big name of Chris Eubank Jr. comes in, because he's a big name. He does big numbers. He's got a huge personality, controversial figure. So, yeah, maybe that's the way I see it. I don't know what you think there, Jay. Do you think that a big fight not involving a UK fighter could sell out a stadium on its own in the UK?
Yeah, 100%. This is what I was saying. Canelo, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, whoever they fight will sell a stadium. Canelo won't be fighting in no 20,000 stadium at the O2. He's Wembley. He's that sort of fighter, someone like a Wembley. And he'd probably, if Chris Eubank Jr. fought Canelo in the UK, all the UK fans will be supporting Canelo. How crazy would that be? I know Chris Eubank doesn't have a massive following with the British fans. It's hit and miss. It's like Marmite. But I believe if Canelo fought Chris Eubank Jr., 70% of the British fans would want Canelo to win, maybe 80, because of his Marmite personality. So that would be crazy. It probably would sell out a football stadium if he fought Chris Eubanks just because of the name Canelo. This is what I said. So, yeah, it would sell a stadium. It would be, but I just don't think it would be that competitive of a fight. But that's just my personal opinion. People in the comments might want to see it, and you might want to see it, Joe. I'm not too sure, but it's just a fight that it's not on my list at the moment. It's not a fight. I want to see Chris fight a few more better opponents. I want to see people challenge Alvarez if he's going to fight him. I just don't want people calling him out because he's the biggest name out there. So it's like a payday, like, oh, I'll fight you, Canelo. Like I said, fight some half-decent fighters and some world-class fighters and then get in there and have a chance of winning. I don't want to see Chris Eubanks going in there and just getting beat after a couple of rounds, or it's just a 12-round beatdown. I want it to be competitive. So fight a big name, get in line. Like he said to Andrade. Andrade has got a world title, and he's got a bigger statue than Chris Eubank Jr. in the boxing world at the moment due to being a world champion or whatnot. And he told him to do one. So imagine if Chris Eubanks said to Canelo, fight me, he's going to tell him to do one as well. So I can't see that fight happening. I want to see Chris Eubanks fight a Danny Jacobs or a Triple G or something. Something like that. I know Triple G's elite, but I just think timing, he's on the other end now. I think he's going to be on the decline.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Look, that's the fight he's going for, isn't it? The Triple G fight, Chris Eubank Jr. So
it's doing the same as the girl. He's looking at the timing.
Yeah, I think
clever.
Triple G, it's hard to tell because I think he's certainly got a bit left in him. I don't know how much, but I certainly think he's got. And everyone says the last thing to go is the power. And the power's always been Triple G's probably one of his best assets, apart from his accuracy. So I think Triple G will still be a hard night for absolutely anyone in the middleweight division.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying he'll beat everyone. I don't know because I haven't thought about each fight and style wise. But yeah, I think the fact that we don't know how much he's got left, and the fact that we can't really decide really yet until we see him fight. Even Morata would be a good measuring stick, like to see. But yeah, I think with Triple G, the one thing I will say is I feel like he needs to be more active. At least have 2 fights a year. If he's not having a fight until December, yeah, he's 39. He's 39.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
So yeah, I'd like to see him have maybe more than 1 fight a year. Like that's the one. That's the one thing I would say.
And it always comes to that time, Joe. You don't know till that night when the fighter declines. Do you know what I mean? We can say in his last fight he looked fantastic or whatnot, but there always comes that one night where it's a step too far for the fighter. And like I'm saying, it's just about timing. And if I was Chris Eubank Jr., now's probably the time to fight Golovkin. 4 years ago, wasn't the time to fight him. Of course not. He was an absolute machine. But them two Canelo Alvarez fights, they were wars. And I know that a lot of people thought Golovkin won the first one and maybe drew the second one. Everyone's got their own opinion, but they were wars. And he took some damage. In every fight, you leave a part of yourself in the ring. And 39 years old, he's fighting once a year. Yeah, the power's there, but it's all about opportunity. And I think now is the best opportunity if Chris Eubanks was going to fight him. And that's all you can say about it. So he done it with James DeGale, picked him up lovely, timed him lovely, took him when it was a step too far for Chunky. We saw it in a couple of fights before his last fight against Chris Eubank. The timing was coming near the end. and Chris thought this is my time to take him. If he took James DeGale in his prime, James DeGale would have schooled him. So it's timing, and I think that'll be a perfect time to catch Triple G.
Okay, yeah, no. So if another hypothetical here, we'll go back to questions. Last bit of dreamland, should we say? Say we get, I don't know, we get Triple G versus Murata. Triple G comes through, and we get Chris Eubank Jr. versus Demetrius Andrade, and Chris Eubank come through that. We get Canelo versus Caleb Plant. Canelo comes through that. We then get Triple G versus Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. beats Triple G. Then we get, I don't know, maybe one more fight with Canelo, maybe a Benavidez fight. Canelo comes through that. Would you say, yeah, now Chris Eubank Jr. has earned the right to fight Canelo?
No, because they're not in the same weight. If he fights people at super middleweight,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, no. It's got to be down to the weights as well. Like, yeah, it's if he comes up, then yeah, fair enough. But nah, like it's this. Chris Eubank ain't a big super middleweight. We saw that with George Groves and that.
He said that himself.
Yeah. So the only way he's fighting Canelo is at 168. I don't believe Canelo goes back down to 160. No, I think they all got to move to the super middleweights. I think they've got to. Probably too late for Golovkin now, but maybe for his last two fights, once you become a super middleweight champion, it must be harder to lose the weight. I'm up for Triple G versus Chris Eubanks at super middleweight, and then the winner could fight Canelo.
Okay, because Chris Eubank Jr. has said that the only fight he would move up to super middleweight for is Canelo. So I don't know what that happens, and I think a lot of that will be a business, but to do with business because Chris Eubank Jr. does do big names, and
Charlo brothers are out there for Chris Eubank.
Yeah, the Charlo brothers. At the end of the day, though, if Chris Eubank does prove himself as a top middleweight and gets a couple of world titles, then the next logical step would be to move up potentially and challenge the pound for pound number one in Canelo. So it's difficult, but there's so many little twists and turns in the 160/168 division, which I'm really, really looking forward to see. And George Gill says, do you think the power in Canelo's body shot put Billy off his game plan? What do you think, Jay? Do you think those body shots maybe put him off his game plan, or slowly worked him down, which led to the fall of his game plan?
No, I just think you don't know what you're in with until you get in there, do you? Everyone always says it. Look, you can't even get sparring for Canelo because there's no one out there like him. So I just think maybe Billy was a bit shocked when he went in there, how powerful he was. I think, yeah, them body shots would hurt anyone. They were so lethal. We saw him in previous fights with Canelo. He just rips them straight in there. So now I think it showed Billy what Canelo had in that. And I think any fighter was going to slow you down a little bit. But I didn't think it put it off his game plan. I think he knew the power. That's why he kept stepping in to try and stop the power generating and that, getting in close. But I believe Billy Joe was performing well in round 6 and 7. And I think he maybe got a little bit overconfident. He had his hands down and he just stepped in. And look, this is fighting people. Like, he got hit with a great shot. And yeah, we can say, did things pit him off, or did the body shots maybe affect the game plan? But like we said earlier, it's just all credit to Canelo. His tactics, what he did, won the fight, and that's all it is. He had a big punch, and if you're gonna have a big punch, it can break your face like that, or knock you out, or it changes a fight, doesn't it? The power. So yeah, I don't think it put him off his game plan. I just think it probably until he got in there, he didn't know what he was with, and yeah, so yeah, no, I don't think it put him off his game plan.
Yeah, guys, smash that like button. keep your comments coming in. We'll be going for a bit longer. We're enjoying this conversation tonight about Canelo.
Joe, what about the other fight? The other fight that was after that fight? Tom.
We haven't even mentioned that yet.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
There was a knockdown in that one.
No, yeah. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I can't believe what I saw.
No, and I see things about this is why travellers get a bad name and all things like that. What do you make of that sort of thing? I just see that a lot of it's internet trolls.
I blame security for that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the security there are going to be experienced security guys. It's a massive fight. They're going to know that that's Billy Joe's corner. Like, I don't know the protocol. Obviously, you see someone charging over the barrier. You don't know, but I just think they should have had their wits about them. They knew it was Billy Joe's friends and family. Tyson Fury was there. I see Tommy Fury jumped over to try and calm it all down. Yeah, I think the security went a bit too strong because Tom Saunders, when he jumped over, he didn't really do anything. You could tell he was just going to the ring. So I think if they just stopped him and said, "What you doing?" and he said, "Look, that's my son. I'm his dad," then but the security straight away threw him about 20 yards across the floor and that, and then I just think that just made a scene that didn't need to be had, to be honest, because that's his son and he don't know what happened. Do you know what I mean? He like just have a bit of savviness about you. All you had to say was like, "What you doing? That's my son in there." He had the Billy Joe Saunders top on and that was his corner. Bit of common sense, but no, I don't blame the travelling community, or this is why they have the bad name for stuff like this happen. I think the security guards were too out of line, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know your opinion on it.
Yeah, I think as a dad, your natural instinct, if you've just seen your son get incredibly injured and just been in a fight, any level fight, your natural instinct is to jump in and see if he's okay.
Yeah.
So it was a tough one. It was a strange one, and it wasn't needed, and it's not really good to see, is it? We don't need it.
And it was quite a distance from the ring as well, wasn't it? It wasn't like he jumped over and he was right at the ring and like the security didn't know what was going on. Like I said, they had time to say, "What you doing? Who are you?" And as soon as he would have said, "Look, I'm Tom Saunders, his dad," they probably would have just let him go through. Do you know what I mean? So I just think as a security person and that, doing your job, look at your surroundings. If they were closer to the ring and you didn't know who it was and it could be someone trying to attack a fighter, fair enough. But the distance between it was far enough to know like you could have a chat with this person, and also they would have known that was Billy Joe's friends and family. So you could see him all lined up there. They would have known, the security guards would have known, look, that's Billy Joe's family there. That's Canelo's family over that side. It just, and the way that it got just so aggressive, like straight away, it wasn't even like there was a few punches or words exchanged. He literally jumped over and they were on him like a rugby tackle, like straight across. So yeah, I can see their point of view. Someone's jumped it, but I just think if you look at the surroundings, look at the scenario, look at what was going on, it could have been dealt with a lot better. And I felt sorry for him a little bit. Like you say, it's his son. He didn't know what was going on, and then you got that going on. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. It was just crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Tim Nicole says, I would like to see Ryder versus Eubank Jr. I think Ryder would edge it. And again, that goes back to 160/168. Pretty sure John Ryder is a firm super middleweight now. I don't think he'll be coming back down, John Ryder. He's got a fight coming up soon. Yeah, is that a fight that interests you? But that'd be one I think that'd have to be made at super middle, Jay.
I would actually like that fight. I prefer that fight to the Marcus Morrison fight at the weekend. Just gone, or the one before with Chris Eubank. John Ryder put in a great performance against Callum Smith. A lot of people had John Ryder winning that. I had Callum Smith just edging it, just on the fact that just because someone does better than what you expect, sometimes you think that they win the rounds or they win the fight. And I think in that fight, John done a lot better than what people give him credit for. I had it close. I had it 6-5 and one drawn round in that. So it wasn't like he got outclassed by Callum Smith. I had it very close. But I believe Callum won that. But he gave a great showing. He proved that he was on that level. He's had some great wins after that. I can't remember the guy he fought after that, but it was a well-known fighter. He shouldn't have won that fight, but he won the fight. I think he's on a good roll, John Ryder. great to see him against Eubank Jr. But as you said, John Ryder's a full 168 now.
Yeah. So, wow. Just seen this comment come up. The only man to beat Canelo is a prime Florian Marku in a couple of years. And who's to say Florian Marku doesn't progress to become a pound-for-pound #1 in a couple of years' time? It's certainly not my place to say, but at the moment, I'm sure you'll agree, Jay, that he's quite a way off Canelo.
Yeah,
and
for
quite
that
a
comment,
couple of weight divisions off as well.
Yeah, like cheers for that comment. I'm always up for a giggle, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Florian Marku struggled with Jamie Stewart a few months ago, and that. Come on, I can't. Nah, I'm not. I don't want to entertain that now. Let Florian Marku do what Florian Marku's doing. He's doing well in the welterweight division. I think he's still there. 147. I think he might be going down to 140. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he's a weights and weights lower down than Canelo. So no, Florian Marku could be a world champion, no doubt about it. I think he could be a world champion in the future. Like you said, he can get to that level, and good luck to him. But no, I don't think that he could beat Canelo in his prime. No, sorry.
Yeah, no. I don't know what to make of that. He's certainly sells tickets, and he's.
I'd like to see Marku versus David Avanesian.
Wow.
I think that'd be a good fight. I think that's a good fight.
I think
147 European title.
I do think Marku will need a couple more fights before he goes in with David Avanesian. I'm a huge fan of David Avanesian.
Yeah, no, it's just a fantasy fight. I was just thinking.
Yeah,
then I thought a good fight for Marku. Yeah, the Conor Benn fight is a good fight. I'd like to see Marku fight an American in New York because he's got a big Albanian fan base. I've heard a couple of interviews that there's a lot of Albanians in New York and in America and that. I'd like to see him fight in America. Yeah, I'd like to see Marku on a DAZN show in America, and just go up the rankings. Like we said, I do believe he could become a world champion. I'm a fan of his, but with the comment of he could beat Canelo, I don't think he can, to be honest, or would.
Yeah. Boxing Pigeon says 160 and 168. There are no champs except Canelo. He would beat them all. And we've kind of covered everyone at 160 and 168 now, so we don't want to be going over the same thing.
Yeah.
But quickly, Jay, would he beat them all?
Yeah, he would beat them all. I had a comment that someone said he even joked he might go to heavyweight. Imagine who would he fight a heavyweight? Like, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Wow, yeah.
No, I don't think he'd go to heavyweight. Cruiserweight might be a step too far as well. They're quite big. And I think that's the only thing I beat Canelo would be weight and age. I think when he gets a bit older, why let you? But Joe, where's he going to go? He's going to have to go up, like to try and to keep the goals going. If he says he's going to go for another 5 to 7 years, he ain't going to stay in the super middleweight division. I think he got to light heavy, and then I wouldn't be surprised in 3 to 4 years he goes up to cruiserweight. Cruiserweight would be a step too far. I'm not saying Canelo. I think that would be a step too far. I think light heavyweight probably will be a step too far as well. But that's what would beat him would be weight, and I think it'd be someone at 175. But look, he's beat Callum Smith. He's going up to 175. He'll probably be one of the top 5 at that weight probably when he goes up there. I think he beats Bivol, which I said. Is there anyone at light heavyweight you think could beat him?
That could beat Canelo?
Yeah.
Beterbiev.
You got Arthur
be a fantastic fight.
Beterbiev,
Arthur Beterbiev. Yeah, I'm not saying Beterbiev beats him, but I think that'd be a great fight and it'd be really tough. Really tough.
I think that fight there is probably the hardest fight out there for Canelo. Out of all the weights, because we already said 160 and 168.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I'm not going up the cruiser. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just going up to light heavyweight. I'm saying, so he's wiped out 160, 168, 175. I think he beats Bivol. I'm saying that other fight is probably the only one that I think that would be the hardest fight for Canelo.
Yeah, no, and we just see that there. Kurt Campbell said Canelo said he will go to light heavy, but not cruiser. And it's been when you get to that point where you're facing guys like, I know he's a bit of an exception, but Lawrence Okoli could be that
Yeah,
much
crazy.
bigger. Like that
Yeah.
would be absolutely crazy. Boxing Pigeon says Canelo will put Marku somewhere beyond this world inside 3 minutes, and that's in Marku's prime. So we're getting a bit of reaction on that comment on Fori and Marku there. And yeah, no, I see this. A bit of love for Billy Joe Saunders coming in now. We've got Orhan Kadapai. I hope I pronounced that right. Orhan, good luck, Billy. Gypsy Power. And we've got Sports Message Therapy Exeter, Liam Clark. Well done, Billy Joe Saunders. Did us proud, fighting the best of his generation in his weight class. Hashtag Canelo. Yeah, so it's nice. It's really nice because we're not blind. We've seen Billy Joe Saunders get a lot of criticism, and I know some people feel that is okay because of the things he said and the videos he's put out in the past. But it's always nice to see a bit of love and a bit of appreciation for a fantastic fighter in Billy Joe Saunders, Jay.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't like criticising fighters. You know my opinion on it. I like to support all fighters in that, no matter where they're from, what country, what promotion they are. I'm a supporter for fighters. So yeah, I like to see the positive messages. Yeah, everyone support Billy Joe. Like I say, I would never judge a fighter, and I would never judge anyone else that's got an opinion on a fighter. Everyone's got their own opinion, but unless you are a fighter, then don't criticise another fighter's heart or their ambition or what their intentions were to do in a fight, because unless you're taking them shots, then it's easy to sit back and say that. So yeah, everyone get behind Billy Joe. Everyone get behind the British fighters. Everyone get behind the international fighters. Everyone get behind boxing. That's what we want. We want these big fights. Like everyone was screaming for these big fights, and then when it's over, someone wants to criticise the loser. Come on, let's celebrate that we got this fight. Billy Joe Saunders put his name down to fight Canelo, the fight that we wanted. I wanted it for the last 3 or 4 years. Joe, you wanted it for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I'm sure most
definitely.
of the UK fans wanted it. And now because Canelo's beat him, please do not put any disrespect on that man's name. I want Billy Joe to come back, but we spoke about it. I only want him to come back for the big fights and the fights that are going to motivate him, because I want to see the best Billy Joe. I don't want to see out of shape Billy Joe. I don't want to see Billy Joe fighting Martin Murray's and people like that. I want to see Billy Joe on the top of his game. If he's not on the top of his game, retire. You're a 2-weight world champion. You've had a great career. You're a great man. Billy Joe does a lot of good things that people don't know that he does, that doesn't get noted because he doesn't put it to the public eye. He's a great man outside of boxing. And I just hope he gets well soon, gets back to his family, recovers well, and then whatever he does after that, I'll support him, you'll support him, and I hope everyone else will support him. And then same to the other fighters that were on the card, support everyone. So, yeah, let's just enjoy boxing. These big nights are what we wanted. We've got to compete with the UFC. They put on big fights every week. They got a card out every week, and it's the best fight and the best. We get one great fight every 6 months if we're lucky. So come on, let's just support the fighters. Let's support everyone. Let's support boxing, and let's just get these big fights going. So, look, everyone be happy, and then the sport will be happy. So, but you're always going to get people that are going to criticise Joe, because there's people in life that think that they can do better than other people, which they can't. So you're going to get negativity, but I'm proud of Billy Joe. I'm proud of Canelo. I'm proud that boxing was able to put on a show like that. So for me, I'm happy because boxing delivered. So that's what I'm in boxing for, to watch great fights, and that was a great fight. So
yeah, and Kurt Campbell said Billy Joe Saunders did better than most British fighters against Canelo, to be honest. And yeah, he certainly put out a great account of himself. And yeah, guys, smash that like button, Pep Talk UK, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be doing plenty more of these live streams. But I just want to ask you this then, Joe, going back to about the mentality of some boxing fans when looking at fights like this, kind of really wanting Billy Joe to win, but then criticising him when he loses. And what do you think is the difference in mentality then between some boxing fans and UFC fans?
The difference is it's the padded records. It's the you get some UFC fighters or MMA fighters, because I watch other MMA, not just the UFC. I watch Bellator, I watch Cage Rage, I watch loads of other MMA. So in MMA, the records don't really count for as much because you're fighting the best, so the loss isn't irrelevant.
Mm.
So if you're that's how they see it. They just want to see the best fight. They have a ranking system in the UFC or Bellator, and literally whatever number you are, you're fighting the number above you. Three's fighting 2, 1's fighting 2, 4's fighting 5, and there's no negotiating. I know it's different because of the ranking systems and that, but what I'm trying to get to is that the best fight the best week in, week out. So they're mammoth fights, and like Jorge Masvidal, which everyone knows as an MMA fighter, the guy's got about 15 losses on his record, but no one cares. He's a great name, and that's the difference. Our fighters seem to think you lose, you're terrible. It's crazy. It's crazy. And there's been so many fighters that have proved over the years that a loss doesn't define you. Look at Donaire. He's one of my favourite fighters of all time. That guy's had losses in his career, but he's bounced back. People do come back. And you see it in the UFC or MMA. They might get beat a couple of times, but then they come back and they become world champions. It's a very negative mindset that we got in boxing, that when a fighter loses, we seem to like to be on the train when they're winning, but as soon as they lose, we're happy they're a scapegoat. We're on to the next best thing or the next new fighter. But nah, it's a different mentality. I feel like UK boxing fans are a bit like football fans. It's like you like one fighter, and then if you can't like anyone else, you've got to just like that one fighter. With me, it varies. I like all fighters. Like I love Tyson Fury, but I love Anthony Joshua as well. So it's like, I know if they fought, you're probably going to have to come down to who you want to win. But what I'm saying is, I don't support one and then slag the other one off. I support both. So yeah, it's just a weird mentality. It's a weird mindset. I find it frustrating because I watch the UFC and the fans are different, and it's just a different environment, different mindset. And that's why I always support Derek Chisora. The guy's got 11 defeats.
Yeah.
But he's a pay-per-view star. You get some fighters who are unbeaten, they can't even make it to a main card on a Saturday. Like, it's down to personalities. It shouldn't come down to records as much. It's just a weird mentality. I find it really frustrating. Like, we had the comments tonight, people slating Billy Joe Saunders. I think what people can't wait to get that "I told you so" or that one up on someone. Like, because it's like people have waited. There would have been Chris Eubank fans that have been waiting 6 years for that to happen to Billy Joe last night. That's how sad it would have been.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they're probably British fans.
Obviously, this is not all British fans. Like, they're not all boxing fans, sorry, because like people like me and you, like, and we know loads of you. Most people who listen and watch this show, I'm sure you've got the same mentality as us. But obviously, you say it's different with the UFC. Is there still a bitter kind of minority of UFC fans, or is it by large all just positive when it comes to the fight sport?
Well, positive. I think the other day, the Conor McGregor fight sold out within minutes. When they done their first live show a couple of weeks ago, sold out within minutes. The UFC fans are one of the best lot of fans I've ever seen. They are committed, passionate. They support their fighters. And what I love about them, UFC is mainly an American-based fan base in the fact of it's all in them. It started off in America. There's a lot of American fighters. It's more worldwide now. But their fans, or the fans in the US and that, they will support any international fighter. It doesn't matter what country you're from. If you're that good and you're performing, look at Conor McGregor. He'll go over there. He'll have all the stadiums full. You don't really see that in boxing. You see like a British fighter going over somewhere. It'll have to be another big name for him. Conor McGregor can go anywhere in the UFC, sells it out. You get Chinese fighters. There's big Chinese fighters in the UFC. They come up. They're huge names. They support each individual fighter from each country. It doesn't matter who you're from, where you're from. Yeah, it's much bigger. much different mentality. It's crazy. It's crazy the mentality of the support they have for the fighters. I find in boxing, you're all in your own little nationalities. Like the American fans love their American fighters. They're not really open-minded to any other fighters. Same in the UK. We back our fighters. Obviously, I like other international fighters, but there's people out there that just support the British fighters. Yeah, it's just a different mentality. I wish a lot of boxing fans, if they don't watch MMA, go over and watch it and experience it. I'm not telling you to change it. You can watch both and enjoy both. I'm just saying it from a fan's aspect. Look at the crowd. Look at the way they treat other fighters. Boxing, there seems to be, yeah, you like to kick a man when he's down. That's what I feel, and I don't really like that. I feel in boxing, you're waiting for someone to fail all the time, and I don't like that mentality. I just want people to succeed, and I feel that's what you're getting in UFC. You're fighting the best, you're going for the best, and you're looking for the best. So, and it's always encouragement. But I feel like we just need to get behind boxing, get these big fights on. The problem is the money and the rankings and the different belt situations. That's the biggest issue. Yeah, the governing bodies in that UFC or Bellator or what MMA company, they run in one company. One guy runs it. They can make the fights happen. So it's a lot different. Over in boxing, you got Top Rank, Queensbury, Matchroom, obviously Mick Hennessy, different promoters, and they're all aiming to get to the top. So they're always bartering. There's always going to be issues. When in mixed martial arts, there's just one company. You're competing against really yourself, if you're thinking about it. So you're not trying to stop fights happening or whatever. It's much easier to make the fight. So I think in 5 to 10 years, boxing could be a lot different. I really do, for the better. And I think, I think just watch this space. I just think that Eddie Hearn's looking at a lot of the UFC, which we've seen before. Eddie's becoming close with Dana White and that, and he's seeing, and you saw that production at the weekend, people. They've got that from the UFC and from the WWE, and that the production at the weekend was fantastic on design.
Beautiful.
It was top notch. You can see brilliant. You can see why they're going from Sky, the difference in that. And I've noticed little things. I know we're going off a little bit, but I can see little changes from Sky to DAZN already, which I've seen Cole Frotch come over from Sky to DAZN. He done the commentary in that. I didn't know whether they were allowing people from Sky to do the commentary. I've not seen it before in that, but I thought Cole Frotch was there. I think he might be a new name that's going to go over with Eddie Hearn. I know they're good friends. I think that was like a tester. I know it was Cole Frotch's weight division, but I think you're going to see Cole probably on the team there. The production was unreal. So, yeah, boxing in the next 5-10 years will be different, and hopefully it gets to a point where there's probably maybe 1 or 2 big governing bodies and they merge in some way and we get the big fights. That's what we want.
Yeah, no, we only want the big fights. So it's not that we only want the big fights. We want the biggest fights to be made. And because without the big fights, without the likes of what we saw at the weekend, without the likes of Taylor Ramirez in a couple of weeks' time, without the likes of, dare I say it, if it finally gets announced Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, the sport doesn't grow. And that is the main point. And look, Sam Morris says there, and I know you think this, Jay, from previous conversations, Eddie Hearn is using UFC blueprint in the future. And yeah, guys, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, Pep Talk UK, and I'm just going to bring it back to Haydar Mahmoud. We're going to change the subject very slightly. He's put this comment down a few times, so I thought I've got to read it out. He said, AJ Fury undercard. What fights would you make for it? So first of all, I just want to say, everyone in the comments, try and think of 3 fights you would like to see in the comments. Get involved, and I'll read them all out, and we'll go over them. And
Shall we do ours?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do ours, Jay. 3 fights, and I think it's important when thinking, we could have a massive fantasy, but I'll try and keep them slightly realistic, because as we know that the big fights don't always need the biggest and best undercard. But then again, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom has said numerous times in the past he loves the big undercards, the big shows, to put on this amazing show. So, 3 fights. Come on, Jay, what you got?
My first one will be Dave Allen, Nick Webb 2. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, that's a joke. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. Sorry, no. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm playing. I'm just playing.
Versus Canelo. No.
Yeah. And Mark, you could be the favourite for that one. Yeah. My first fight to kick it off would be Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields.
What a fight!
Massive fight. Unification for all the titles. That would be my first fight. My next fight would be Conor Benn, David Avanesian.
Yeah, okay.
For a world title eliminator or a world title, a vacant world title. They would be, I think, them two fights on the card would be fantastic. Look, there could be about 10 fights I could make. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying, my two personal favourite ones that I would like would be them. I think the Clarissa Shield ones would be massive. And I think the Conor Benn, David Avanesian fight would be fantastic. But there's so many fights out there. Another one that I would like would be Usyk, Joe Joyce. That would be great on that undercard.
I can't see it being on the undercard, but that would be brilliant.
Well, why not though? One's on Queensbury, one's on DAZN or Matchroom or whatever. Like, obviously the funding or whatever. Obviously, but it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be a big show, that card. There's going to be a big undercard on it. Huey Fury, Pulev 2. Another good fight I'd like to see. I like the first fight. I think that was a good first fight. Huey's improved a little bit. Look, there's so many fights out there, isn't there? Lomachenko, Lopez 2. Like, do you know what I mean? What sort of standard are we going for here? Are we going for elite fantasy fights or realistic fights that can happen? Like, what are we going with?
Yeah, no, I've had a think about it just over the past 5 minutes. While I saw that comment, just about 5 minutes, and before I come to mine, I'll just read out some of yours comments, and I'm sure we'll discuss this undercard from top to bottom when or if it gets announced. But it's just nice talking about a big solid card. And Michael M says Ngannou versus White. Oh, that'd be crazy. We've got Shannon Courtney versus Rachel Ball 2. Yeah, that'd be good. Great. Virgil Ortiz versus Conor Benn. Oh, wow. That's mouthwatering. That is mouthwatering.
That is mouthwatering. That is a big one.
Marku versus Avanesian. You said that earlier. Oh, Sam Morris says Hearn versus Warren. I think that would have to headline its own pay-per-view card, I must admit. Cheeseman, Fowler, Wardley Webb, and Buatsi Richards. Nathan there. We're going down the British route there to go big British card.
Craig Richards, Buatsi would be a good fight on that card.
No.
I think that would be a good one.
We've got Steve in the UK. We've got Buatsi versus Yard, Richards or Johnson. Yeah, so we're going down that British light heavyweight scene. We've got Jonas Harper too. Another great fight to be made. Huey Fury versus Bacoli. They are like that. The Big Cheese versus Fowler. Ortiz versus Ruiz. That'd be crazy.
Dillian White, Ruiz
versus David Price. Oh yeah.
Biter, the biter.
The biter. But yeah, so
Cash Ali, I like Cash Ali. I'm up for that fight. Yeah, I'm game for that.
Yeah, no.
I've got one for you. Dave Allen versus Lenroy Thomas. 3.
That is the trilogy fight the whole world wants to see right there. That is that. Boxing Pigeon, we've got Warrington versus Lara 2. Nathan says Felix Cash versus Leon Williams. Keep them coming in. But I'll say my 3 now. I'll say my 3, right? So I went slightly realistic. I went, Fury always loves Isaac Lowe on his undercards. So I went with Isaac Lowe versus Jordan Gill. I think that would be a brilliant fight. I'd love to see that fight. Then I would go.
Gill.
Not a clue.
I'd say Gill. Maybe Gill.
Style-wise, I don't know. It's one of them weird ones because
it's a good fight.
Very different styles. Fight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So imagine that starting the card, right? So then I'm as well. I'm thinking that we've got Matchroom, Queensbury, and Top Rank all involved here. So, yeah, look, Nathan says Jordan Gill versus Isaac Lowe would make sense. Then I went with a world title fight, which I would love to see. Sonny Edwards versus Julio Cesar Martinez.
Oh!
Oh,
Yes, the WBC champ.
yes,
Oh, he's a banger.
he's a
Yes,
banger.
I love him. He's fantastic. He's a
Oh,
great fight. That'd be a great fight. A banger versus slick mover. I think Sonny could win that on his last performance. He proved in that last fight he can go 12 rounds without getting in a fight. But Martinez, wow, for a little man, he's got some power. Joe, that's a
you
great
like that
fight.
one though? You like
Oh,
that?
you plucked that one out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that.
And
Yeah,
then that is, we haven't even got to the co-main yet. And then for the co-main, I know people were saying, I just think fights that make sense. I know people were saying about Buatsi against the British guys. I think Eddie Hearn and Matchroom wants to move Buatsi up to world level because they believe he's got that. They believe he's got that that talent. So
the X Factor.
I went for Joshua Buatsi versus the newly crowned WBO light heavyweight champion and top ranked fighter Joe Smith Jr. I think that would be a really solid fight. I think, obviously, really heavy hitter Joe Smith Jr. again against the great boxer, bit of everything with Buatsi, and I just thought that'd be a nice little fight heading into the main event. I don't know what you think about that one, Jay.
No, I think that's a great fight. Joe Smith Jr. I think he doesn't get the credit he gets because he beat Bernard Hopkins, and I think they thought Bernard was past his best, and then he's come back and proved since then that he's a great fighter. Yeah, it's a great fight, but I would like to see Buatsi versus Bivol on that card.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So your fight's a great fight as well, but I'm saying if that fight didn't happen, I'm liking the Bivol Buatsi fight as well. But like you say, there's some great fights out there, and I'm sure nearer to the time when it gets announced and that, we'll probably do a whole show where we could probably do a whole card for the night, and we'll spend a couple of days actually doing a set card, and we'll go through it. But there's so many great fights out there. I'll tell you what I want, Joe, and I don't know about you. It's going off it a bit, but I want a whole woman card. I swear down, I want a whole woman card. I'm buzzing, mate. Women's boxing, I'm buzzing.
Yeah.
I'm buzzing for it. And if there's not a women's fight on the card, I'm disappointed nowadays. And some of the fights we've seen recently, I'd love to see a women's card with 3 world titles maybe on it, and then maybe 3 or 4 ladies that are coming through, going to world level. Obviously, we had the show a few weeks ago with the girls that are coming through. Obviously, we're all pushing for women's boxing and that. Yeah, I know I'm going off a little bit there, but I'd like to see by the end of the year a whole women's card. I would happily watch that.
Definitely. We'll come back to that very quickly, Jay. But I just see some breaking news just announced, just popped up on my phone here. Michael Benson tweets announced Teofimo Lopez defense of his WBA, WBC franchise, IBF and WBO lightweight titles versus George Kambosos Jr. has been moved to June the 19th. Franchon Cruz Desern versus Ellen Sederun is on the undercard as well, which is, this one really stands out to me. Michael Hunter versus Mike Wilson. So Michael Hunter, it doesn't look like he will be fighting Filip Hrgović then. And
who?
Mike Wilson.
Who?
Guys, please, please.
My jaw's got Mike Wilson. Does he live around the corner from me or something? I swear that. No offense to Mike Wilson, but I swear that he was fighting Hrgović for the IBF Eliminator. Wow.
Yeah, Mike Wilson, American boxer.
You pulling my leg?
This is Michael Benson's tweet, by the way. Just
get Box Rex up, Joe. Get Box Rex up, and let's see where. This is nearly as bad as Lovejoy. Come on.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Michael Benson, he's usually very reliable.
Who? Who? Wilson or?
No, but yeah,
sorry, Mike Wilson. I'm sure you're a great fighter. I honestly, I've never heard of you, man.
And Andy Vences versus John O'Carroll.
Who's John got?
Andy Vences. Yeah.
Okay, no, I've never heard of him. I'm not taking a mick on that one. I like John Joe Carroll. I'm shocked by that. I'm shocked. Did you go back and watch that Callie Sowland interview?
Yes,
that I told you about.
I did. Yeah, no, I did.
And after watching that and then hearing that Mike Wilson, you can see why my jaw's gone a bit. I'm like, wow.
I'm looking on more social media to get
Wow.
more of a concrete
He
thing.
turned down a world title eliminator. If he beat Filip Hrgovic, he would have been fighting Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury to fight Mike Wilson. Wow.
I'm looking here. I'm looking on. I'm assuming it's still going to be on Triller as they won the purse bid. But
what's the reason for it all being moved? Has it said, Joe? Has it said why? Or?
No, it hasn't said that. I'm hoping that there'll be a follow-up tweet very soon.
Because I've heard Manuel Charles fighting Chris Lovejoy. Have you seen that fight?
Yeah, that's this weekend.
Yeah, that's a great. To be fair, that Char needs to fight. He ain't fought in about 4 years.
Yeah,
so
I don't know, but this weekend,
yeah, May 15th. Yeah.
No.
It's
so again, just with that information to anyone who's watching, don't take my word for that. That was Michael Benson's tweet. I keep his notifications on. He brings all the breaking news. So I just thought I'd read that out, and that's crazy.
Has he not done a typo? Has he not meant Mike Tyson?
No,
like
honestly,
Mike Wilson.
I've typed in Mike Wilson, and I'm assuming it's this guy. I really don't mean any disrespect. I really don't mean any disrespect. We might just be really uneducated here. I really don't know. But Mike Wilson is an inactive cruiserweight who last fought in 2019 for the NABA cruiserweight title. That's the Mike Wilson I've seen on BoxRec. So
it's a couple of factors here, Joe. Obviously, we've never heard of the guy. I'm sure if anyone's heard of him, get your comments in. Let us know his record. Let us know a bit about him. I'm always open to be educated. I'm sure you are, Joe. But obviously, when you're hearing that the guy's got an IBF title eliminator and he's for some reason not fighting for that, when you're in this game to be a world champion, as we've always spoke about, you've got to have goals and ambition. You're either fighting for a world title or you're fighting for money. And I don't believe that Mike Wilson is going to be bringing in the money, and he's definitely not got a world title. Wow.
It's that Triller money. It's that Triller money.
Well, yeah, it must be. It must be. But come on, like, we all know that Snoop Dogg's smoking some heavy stuff. We see it in the last Triller show. But to be spending money on Michael Hunter versus Mike Wilson, if it's correct, if the stories are right, I don't know. Obviously, I've not seen it yet. I'm going on what you said, Joe. It just doesn't make sense why he would turn. This is the difference between the UFC and boxing. You just summed it up there, Joe. The fight the best. You would not get anyone in UFC fight. You would not. Here we go. We've got Dustin Poirier fighting Conor McGregor next. The winner will fight for the world title. You will not see one of them now say, I ain't fighting them. I'm fighting Joe Pugh from Essex. We've got a fight on Triller. I'm having that fight next. That's what I'm saying. That's how ridiculous it is. For him to go from that IBF title eliminator to fight a guy that is a cruiserweight when he last fought a couple of years ago. I know Michael Hunter was a cruiserweight, but he's a fully fledged heavyweight now. Wow. You could have had the biggest payday of your life in your next fight against, which Cali said in his interview, if you beat Filip Hrgovic, the only way is up. And like he said, he would take it all back if he was fighting Tyson Fury. And I would love to see Cali Saulin's reaction. Please, someone get an interview with this guy soon, and so I can see what he says, because that guy is gold when it comes to being interviewed. And I'd love to hear his reaction on this. This would be fantastic. But no, my respect for Michael Hunter's gone down a lot if he's taken that route, to be honest. I'm not in it for, like I said earlier, we're in it for the big fights, the best fights to be made. And let's be real, that's not good for boxing.
I don't know. As just say, as more news breaks on that, we will bring it to you. But yeah, look, Nathan is poor from Hunter, and he's a fighter I like. It makes no sense either, as he has fought some solid guys. Homework already, like Povetkin, Bacoli, Kuzmin, that heavyweight. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, look at that.
He's a good fighter, Michael Hunter. He's a great fighter.
Yeah, no.
It's awkward when he fought Bacoli. No one had Michael Hunter beating Bacoli. He went
Look at it
points
when
with
he fought.
Usyk at cruiserweight.
Yeah, look when he fought Povetkin on the undercard of Joshua Ruiz too.
First 5 or 6 rounds, he won that. Do you know what I mean? I know he got a draw in that.
Yeah. No,
he could have got Povetkin out. It's just I've lost a lot of respect if he's took that route, because I think Michael Hunter he's an awkward fighter. I remember he was saying he'd fight for free not long ago. I can't remember who was.
Yeah,
there was a fight and someone was putting out.
Dillian White, I think it was when I think it might have been when Povetkin pulled out with COVID, and there was still talk of him fighting in November of last year. I think it may have been that.
And I just don't know what's going on with the guy. Like, that's not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. Like, it's just he's I'm not feeling that fight. That's a fight I'm definitely. And because of the circumstance, the guy had an IBF title eliminator, and that's not. It's not even a Charles Martin or someone. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't. Nah. I'm just not feeling that one, Joe. And you get people criticising these YouTubers who want to fight in that. Well, tell me, this is a shocking match. No disrespect to Wilson. No, like, same with you, Joe. Obviously, you don't really know him either. No disrespect to the guy. But come on, as a boxing fan, who would you rather watch? Filip Hrgović versus Hunter or this fight?
Yeah, no. It's very strange. It's
a bad taste. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Look, Boxing Pigeon, Hunter running from that Hrgović smoke. But yeah, no. Let's talk about Hrgović then. Let's know, guys, in the comments, who would you like to see Hrgović fight now? Because he's obviously been in trading for a long time. Look, Samurai says must be daft. Money for him. Yeah, so look, let us know who you'd like to see Hrgović fight. And just going back to that then, about the AJ Fury undercard, I wouldn't mind seeing, bear in mind of the promotional allegiances here, I wouldn't mind seeing Filip Hrgović, one great heavyweight prospect, against FA Ajagba, top ranks, great heavyweight prospect. It probably won't happen, but if they manage to make that happen, I think that'd be a fantastic fight.
No, that would be a great fight. Another fight I would like would be the Joe Joyce fight, if the Usyk fight didn't happen. Because one, it's an eliminator for the IBF, if they can arrange that. I don't know what the rankings are. Don't know if you can get the IBF rankings in front of you so we can see who we can fight. Because Callie said that a few of the contenders turned down an opportunity to fight Hrgović. He said, like, Charles Martin said no. Hrgović, he's a great fighter. I've watched a few of his World Boxing Super Series fights that he had back in the day with Joe Joyce and Usyk in it. And that he is beatable, but we're at different times now. We're in the pro games. He's undefeated as a pro. He looks the part. They would say it'd be a risk, but I'd like to see Dillian White versus Hrgović, just on the fact I think Dillian White's up there, and I just think to cement your position as the number 3 guy. Maybe you beat Hrgović, you're the mandatory for the IBF as well. So the WBC mandatory, the IBF mandatory. Just keep strengthening your position at the top. So I think that would be a good fight, Dillian White versus Hrgović on the undercard of Fury Joshua.
Yeah, it's very strange. Look, I'm on the IBF rankings now, and it is right. So number 1's not rated, obviously, because I think probably the winner of the Hrgović Hunter fight would have been number 1.
Yeah.
So we've got number 2, Charles Martin, number 3, Usyk, number 4, Hrgović, number 5, Parker. Hrgović Parker, maybe.
I'm loving that.
Yeah. 6, Ajit Kabayel. Kabayel needs an opportunity, potentially. That'd be like Croatia versus Germany there. Tony Yoka, Hrgović.
That's a good fight. Wow. That's a good fight. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think the one that makes sense is probably Parker.
Here's one then. At number 13, so a bit out, but really like the fight after his last performance. Otto Wallin versus Hrgovic.
Yeah, I would entertain that just because Wallen's been in with Fury, give him a good fight. No one can argue that. That's what I mean. This is what I'm saying with boxing. You're getting down to the number 13s and 14s before you can even see who they're fighting. Why people turn down opportunities, I do not understand. Out of them, logically, the Joe Parker fight probably makes the most sense, business and boxing wise.
For Parker? It's a big risk for Parker, that one.
It is, but Parker needs to get back to fighting for the world title. I'm sure that's his ambition. It's a world title eliminator. You're fighting to get that elimination shot, and then once you get the shot, you can't be saying, "Oh, it's this guy. I'm not going to fight him." It's the fight game. If you're better than him, you're going to beat him. If you're not going to beat him, you're not going to beat him. Like, it's the ducking and diving. That's what I'm saying. The mentality in the UFC is you fight the best. You beat him, you move on. You don't, then you come back. Like,
exactly.
I don't like the ducking and diving. Joe Parker, in life, you got to take a risk to get the reward, and sometimes it's a big risk, sometimes it's a low risk. So
and Parker's proved that he takes the fights because we obviously had the Ruiz fight. I know that was for the vacant title. He took the fight against Huey. Fury at the time was like really awkward. Like, everyone thought he was a really awkward fighter. He took the fight against AJ, obviously, unification fight. And then he took the fight against Dillian White, where did he really need to take that fight? I don't think so. Like,
he didn't, no.
But he chose to
I think he panicked. He panicked. He lost the world titles, and I think that Dave Higgins and that probably thought, look, you got a big following here in the UK. Here's an opportunity, and I think it was good business by Dillian White, because obviously Joe Parker was a high name, just lost his world title, dived on him. But to be fair to Parker, if he probably had a bit longer, he might have got the victory. You see it in the last round, he nearly had Dillian out of there. It was a good. The thing with Joseph Parker, and there's no disrespect to him because I absolutely love him. The guy's too nice. And like, you just can't dislike him, and he's just too nice. And I think he's too nice in the ring. He doesn't have that spite in him. Like, if he had that spite, that nastiness in him, I think Joe Parker could be one of the top fighters. But I just feel like he's too nice, and boxing, you can't really be too nice because you got killers at the top of the game, and they're just gonna look in the Joshua fight. I felt he felt a bit reserved. He didn't really go for it in the Dillian White fight till the 12th round. The Del Boy Chisora fight, I don't think he won that. I thought he lost that by a round or two. I wasn't impressed. And then I wasn't impressed in the Junior Farr fight. I don't think Parker's been on his game and since he won the title against Andy Ruiz. I think that was his last best performance, was against Andy Ruiz. And I think it's because he had that bit between his teeth. He wanted to win a world title, and I think when he won the world title, then maybe the motivation went a bit. And I think now with Andy Lee, he could get it back again. So it just needs that nastiness. Find that nastiness in your game, Joseph Parker. You could be a top fighter, but I think he's a bit too nice.
Yeah, definitely. So just see June 19th, we'll see 4 boxing events over 4 different US broadcasters. So
in
listen
one night?
to this one then, guys. Yeah. So okay. I'll ask you, Jay, and then we'll ask the viewers what one they would choose to tune in for, should we say? Right. So we got Lopez Kambosos Jr. on Triller. We've got Inui versus Das Marinas on ESPN. We've got Charlo versus Montiel on Showtime. And we've got Munguia versus Stilecki on the Zone. So, like, you've got major broadcasters there clashing. Surely, on a numbers-wise, that's putting each 4 of those fights at a disadvantage. And so guys, let us know. But Jay, first of all, what fight will you be watching? I think I know the answer, but
to be fair, it's like boxing suicide. That is, I think. I don't know what they're doing. That is ridiculous. So I'd probably watch the Inoue fight, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, really?
I don't know if that's
I'm shocked
all the Munguia fight. I would watch that one, but I don't think any of them are that good, to be honest, Joe, for main events.
No,
What was
for
the
me,
first one? What was the first one? Was that Lopez? Did you say?
Lopez, yeah, versus Cambosis Jr. For
Yeah,
me,
I probably
I'd
would.
choose that one probably.
Yeah, I probably would watch that one because George Cambosa proved in the fight with Lee Selby he's a good fighter.
Close
And
fight though.
Lopez obviously, yeah, it was a close fight, yeah. But obviously he's got recognition in the UK. So for me, I saw him in the last fight. Lopez obviously beat Lomachenko. To be fair, Joe, none of them really are great standout main events. If I'm being honest with you, if I'm being brutally honest, it'd be a good card if they're all on one card. I think that'd be a good show.
Yeah, that'd be a good
But
show, yeah.
But I think that weekend Triller will probably win that. I think it's boxing suicide for the others to go against them fights. It's a shame, really, because Inoue, like we said earlier, is probably one of the top pound for pound fighters. The Charlo brothers. The thing with the Charlos is they like to talk a lot, but you don't really see them fight anyone big. I hear about the Charlos all the time, but I never really see them fight anyone with a big name.
Yeah.
I'm ready for them to step up a little bit more
I
of a
think their last
worldwide
fights
name.
was good. Their last fights, I think, was good. Like with Rosario, that was a big
Oh
name.
yeah,
Obviously different to
yeah,
Charlo, but yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Now they're starting to step it up a bit, but before you just used to hear them and they weren't really fighting anyone. But now they're world champions, and the last couple of performances have been better. But I want to see them step it up to the next level, fighting the household names a little bit more. I can't believe that they're all going on that weekend, Joe. I think that's absolutely crazy. You see it over here when there's Queensbury versus Matchroom, which happen not very often, and there's a big deal when that does happen. So
I remember the absolutely uproar when it was. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 22nd of December 2018. I'm going to say, I think it was on the same night you had Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton, and on BT pay-per-view, and then you had Dillian White versus Derek Chisora, the rematch on Sky pay-per-view.
That was, Joe, you plucked that one out there. That was pretty good knowledge there, my friend.
I think I don't know. I hope no. I think I might be along the right lines there. Anyway, something to do with that. So, and I remember
it was in December. Yeah, it was late December. Yeah,
I'll get that up just to see. But no, yeah, that was huge uproar there. So, in your opinion, and let us know in the comments there. We'll just see. Nathan says Tio Cambosis, he'll be watching, and yeah, Nathan Kid Galahad is an underrated boxer in my opinion. We'll get to that in a minute, but for now, Jay, do you think it's important and it would be nice to see the promoters who usually work against each other just sometimes have a bit of communication so that they both benefit, because it's only going to take away from each other if they're both having fights on the same night.
Yeah, no, I think that's what I'm saying. Next 5 to 10 years, I think it'll be different. I think when the likes of Bob Arum go, when maybe Frank Warren passes the torch over, things might change because the times are changing. I think, I just think they're all. That's what I'm trying to say. They're all trying to compete against each other, and it's not beneficial for the sport. We're seeing this. You've got these fights over that weekend, and it's not benefiting it because people are going to have to choose who they're going to watch. And like nowadays, people go online and watch the highlights after, so you're making people decide who they want to watch, and they're not really great fights. I chose the Inoue fight because individually, Inoue is my favourite fighter out of all them that are fighting.
Yeah, I love it.
So personally, that's probably why I would have gone for that. I don't think the George Cambosa fight is a great fight. I think George Cambosa is a good fighter, and because I see him in the last fight, it'd be interesting to watch. But yeah, I'm not really keen on all of them. If I'm being brutally honest, Joe, I'm not really looking forward to any of them fights. Not where I'd say I'm going to pick that one over that one. I just think that they're all average fights. All on one bill, I'll be happy with, but nah, not really for me.
Yeah, Haylar says you're right, Joe. So I'm assuming that's that 22nd of December thing. So yeah, I don't know where I got that from, but it's it's strange. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's very strange, but yeah, no. We don't see it often though. 4, maybe like
I know 4. It's crazy.
One like 2, but 4. Quickly, then go back to Nathan's comment about Kid Galahad underrated in my opinion. We're going through the viewers' comments tonight. We'll keep going. Kid Galahad underrated first of all, Jay, and hopefully we get to see that fight for the IBF title, for the vacant IBF title against Jazza Dickens. What do you make of that fight?
Yeah, no, I love that fight. I think it's a good fight. Have they fought before? Kid Galahad's beat Jazza Dickinson. Am I correct there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
A long time ago, though. A long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, I like Kid Galahad. Great fight. When I watched the Josh Warrington fight, he won that for me. I don't know your opinions on that, Joe. 100%, I thought Kid Galahad won that. I remember I was on holiday. I was with my partner and that, and I remember watching it on my phone on the BT app, and I just thought my friend's a massive Josh Warrington fan. He's a Leeds fan as well, so that's why he likes Josh Warrington. And I remember texting him during the fight saying he ain't won this fight, and I thought Kid Galahad won that. I think he should be world champion by now. But yeah, I genuinely thought he outperformed Josh Warrington that night. And you go with fighters after the fight, they were relieved that they won that fight, and that's why they didn't take the rematch. The proof was in the pudding. Yeah, I think Kid Galahad's a great fighter. I do rate him a lot. My only issue is I wish he'd fight a bit more regular, but when he has performed, I think he's performed well. I thought that this fight was meant to be on the undercard to the Canelo fight. I thought I read that a few weeks ago or a couple.
Yeah, I think there were something stopped it. I don't know whether it was licensing or anything like that. Just see Kenny Ken is backstage, just waiting for admin Kenny. Just stay there, mate. Just waiting for the admin to let you in, and we hopefully get your opinions on some things, mate. So yes, that's something to look forward to. But yeah, just quickly back to Galahad. I think the Galahad Warrington was on the same, because I remember that was on the same night as another big show, and I can't remember. Not at the same time. I think it might be Fury Schwartz. I think Fury Schwartz. Fury Schwartz. What date was that? 15th of June, I want to say. No, that's a guess. But Nathan, again, how do you guys rate Jack Catterall? I like him. Good boxer, but very one-paced. Jack Catterall, apparently he's going to be out there in Vegas. Oh, is that Kenny joining us? We'll see. Just
hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Here we go. Kenny is here. Kenny, how are you, mate?
I'm all right. I basically, as you know, football's another one of my greatest loves. It shaves boxing by a finger. So I've been doing a Chelsea Arsenal preview, and I did a North London preview with basically the state of Arsenal and Tottenham. But I came in and I went on YouTube and I went, hang on, they're still going. So I thought,
long one tonight.
Let's see if we could. Yeah, and guess what? I found something I didn't agree with. Someone said that Kid Galahad beat Josh Warrington. I like a debate with about that.
I'm not guilty of that one. Go on, Kenny.
I'm happy to go on my stall on that one. I believe Kid Galahad won that. Easy.
I think it was very, very close. And I remember watching the fight, and I must say, you had a bit of a point, but I could see. It was one of those fights where judges go towards the champion, don't they? And I think that's what happened in that fight. But I get where you're coming from, because Killer did still. There was some rounds. There was some close rounds where I thought maybe on another day a judge would have given that to Kid Galahad. So you got an excellent point there as well. So I can't say I don't disagree with what you said. Instead of fighting him. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the thing, because maybe Josh Warrington could do a Kid Galahad rematch after what happened with Lara, isn't it? You know what I mean?
No. Go on then, Kenny. What's your opinions on Jack Catterall? That's what Nathan said.
Oh, Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall. I'm sure I've seen him fight. Jack Catterall. He's from Lancashire, isn't he? Did he fight Ahara Davis in Leicester
he beat him.
ago?
He's mandatory for the winner of Taylor Ramirez.
I've got fun. Yeah, I actually got a story about that, because what's happened is that, don't ask me how we found ourselves in Leicester, but I was going to take the wife to Leicester basketball hall, because basically she's from Leicester, and she couldn't make it because she had to go on a hospital appointment. So she was in hospital with a serious operation. I took my daughter instead, with her daughter instead. And yeah, I remember being really pissed off with Ahara Davis, because I thought, Jack Carroll was a fighter I very much admired, but I thought Ahara Davis got beaten by Josh Taylor about a year and a bit before, and I thought, right, this is redemption. And it was one of those fights where Ahara Davis didn't throw a punch. But in terms of Jack Carroll, massive fan of the way he fights, and I just think he's in line for the winner. Was it Taylor Ramirez, isn't it? Are they fighting this week, isn't it?
Next week, 22nd of May.
Next week. And it's not on a British channel. It's where I think it's where we got to subscribe to another channel, isn't it? Because it's not on
Fight TV.
The Zone. It's not
Fight TV, $11.99. I think the retail price is for that one, Kenny. Jack Carroll's out there. Good, Kenny.
Top fighter. I was talking about yourself and Jay, and maybe I thought that there was a link somewhere that you guys will find rather than pay the $11.99.
Oh no!
Oh no, we don't approve things like that, Kenny. Not here, mate. No.
Oh, of course not. No.
I'll send you it after, Kenny. I'll send you it after. No, I don't.
There's no such thing as piracy now on this channel, is there?
Oh no,
never. It's all legit. So Kenny, we had drug dealers last week, piracy this week. You're gonna get us in trouble here.
Yeah, you're gonna have the channel taken down.
I know.
You'll be doing live streams with Ty and Booth next.
You probably covered this all. No, not too well. I don't think so. But I know I've missed a lot of the show. But have you guys covered the Manchester show where unfortunately Kelly Harper won't be defending her title? Have you already done that one already?
No,
we haven't got to the weekend fights yet. No, we haven't got to the weekend fights yet, Ken.
What do you think about BJS? Do you think he quit, or do you think it's the right decision?
He didn't quit.
No, that has been the bulk of tonight's show. So I think, Kenny, it's only right. We haven't heard your opinion on the fight. We know you've watched it. Just let it go. Let it out. Come on, Kenny. What do you think? What do you make of the fight?
Bring it.
Well, in terms of the fight, I was actually trying to cut in, and whilst I was watching the Zone, and I have to say, in going to the 8th round, I had it 4-3 to Canelo. Although
same as me,
objectively, I could see why people would have said 4-3 Billy Joe, because one thing I liked about Billy Joe as well is that he was actually he had his hands down because he tried to trick Canelo. And what's happened? One thing I liked about him is the way he crouched down and got his punches off. And he was really fighting well, because the things I wanted him to do, I wanted a double jab, and I wanted the left hand. He did everything I wanted, but I looked at the fight, and I thought Canelo was kind of working his way out. And I think that's that's one thing about Canelo, is that he's a very intelligent fighter. He actually doesn't mind if you catch him, because his attitude is, I can hit harder than you, and eventually I will get you. You'll make a mistake, and I'm going to punish you. And it had that kind of feel for it, where another commentators who are useless, by the way, were saying, "Oh yeah, you can't use your big punch. You can't throw your big punch." And I thought, well, hang on it. There's nothing wrong with throwing a big punch, because a lot of those big punches were body punches. They were basically glancing balls on the face. So basically, he was timing his punch, and then when he got through in the 8th round, it was game over. And I thought Canelo probably wasted about 20 seconds of trying to knock him out, because he kept on playing the craze. I've got him hurt. But really and truly, if he really wanted to be ruthless, I think he would have knocked him out there and then. Billy Joe was slain. I think the first uppercut I looked at him and I see the way his legs went. I thought, nah, you're gone, mate. You're gone, mate. But in terms of
he did go for him though, Ken. If you watch it back, Canelo hit him 3 more times on that eye. He did try taking him out of there.
Yeah.
I think next round he would have took him out of there.
You see the way Canelo had his hands up. He was playing to the crowd. So look at it, and obviously can't blame the guy because that's what he's there to. He's a crowd pleaser. But in terms of like the fight, I always kind of thought that I said to you guys last week that my scorecard would have been 116, 112, and then 2 of the other cards being 115, 113. And I think we were going towards a 115, 113 if it went to points in David Canelo. In terms of like the stoppage, well, again, it's one of those things where you talk a good game as a fighter. I'd rather die in a ring. I'd rather go on my shield. Billy Joe Saunders was very critical of him, just like a lot of boxers. And I think the reason why he was critical of him is because they wanted that ending. As a boxer, you want to be knocked out. You want to be you want to be on a stretcher because you've been knocked out. You don't want someone to stop the fight. But I'm sorry, Billy Joe Saunders, the right decision by Mark Tibbs was to stop the fight. I saw his eye and I looked at it and I could see that it swelled the cheek. And I said, nah, it's fight another day.
Yeah.
Breathe it.
Yeah.
Was you shocked, Kenny? Was you shocked? Was you expecting him to be pulled out the corner when he went back to his stall after the 8th round?
Well, it's the way he walked to his corner. He walked to his corner, and there was none of this. When you've been hurt and you just go back your corner, you can't let it go out. You just got a feeling that when you looked at the corner, he looked very passive. There was no aggression there. It was one of those things where he said, right. He said he couldn't see. I could partially hear that. I thought, as soon as I heard that, I thought, game over. I couldn't see the fight going on, and I wasn't surprised when Jimmy, like Mark Tibbs did the right thing, which is pulling out. I can't disagree with it. I was surprised because you never think it's gonna end that way. But unfortunately, right now is that fighters are being safe themselves. What happened with Daniel Dubois was an eye-opener. The fact that he had to have an operation to save his sight and save his career. The next fighter who gets that injury, i.e. Billy Joe Saunders, it's a no-brainer. And I think fighters will be pulled out if they get any eye damage. They'll be pulled out.
Yeah, Ken, I agree with your point now. I think at the end of the 8th round, Billy went to the corner. And I think I agree with you. You didn't see a complaint when the fight was stopped. Me and Joe mentioned this earlier. There was no arguments from Billy Joe with the fight being stopped. You've seen fighters before arguing, saying, I want to carry on. I think personally, the damage was that extreme that I think the fight went out of Billy Joe's head. I think he was just worried about the eye. So when he went to the corner in that, it was panic mode. He couldn't see. And now we found out it's a triple fracture, which is quite serious. Like I said, I watched the eye doctor after the fight talking about the injury. And just to break the cheekbone's bad enough, but he's broke 3 bones around the eye. I agree.
The thing about the injury as well, it was a situation where so basically it was, but you know what all happened? Canelo, if you remember, I don't know if you guys are a bit young, but I remember Gary Mason when he fought Lennox Lewis in '91. Remember Gary Mason had a problem with his eyes, retina. So what's happened is that Lennox Lewis, basically all he did was aim for that eye, jab, jab, jab. Now, where Billy Joe was injured, on the right hand, he's on his right hand side. So basically, he's injured on the sort of the right hand side. So basically, all Canelo had to do, it was a measurement. He was going to go for that eye, so it was only going to be more damage, and so it would have been a situation where he would have lost his sight. So he had to stop. Unfortunately, it's shame for the spectacle, and I know,
it's not a shame though, because it is conclusive to me, Ken. To me, it's a conclusive win. The guy's too powerful. He broke the guy's face.
Yeah, it's
because you're getting people saying, what happened if he didn't break his face? But he did.
Yeah, I know. But all right, let's put it, say we talk about Joshua Fury, right? And it's a fight that we've built up. Rebuilt up. We talked about worldwide tours, especially national tours for the 2 British fighters. And then you look at it and you think, right, you want a knockout, but you're set to points win. But to go out in an injury, that'd be a massive disappointment. And I think that's what it was like. You talk about the supporters and his Canelo supporters. It's a disappointment because it's like whether you like it or not. It's not. It has to be done, but it's not a satisfactory way and a memorable way to lose a fight, is it? I
think it's more brutal, Ken. Honestly, I'm the opposite. I think it's more brutal. He's broke the guy's face. Like, I'd rather be knocked out, Ken, to be honest. You're knocked out for 20 seconds, you're back up, you got a headache.
Yeah.
He's broke the guy's face in 3 places. It's not an injury, it's a punch that's caused the injury. David Hay was an injury with his Achilles. He stepped backwards and it was his own fault. It wasn't caused by Tony Bellew, so that's why they had the rematch. This one, Canelo's uppercut caused the injury. It's a scoring punch. It's not an injury. Everyone's making out there's an injury caused the Billy Joe would have won if he didn't have an injury. He didn't have an injury. He had a broken face from the opposition.
All right. Let's rewind back 5 months, 6 months. Then we won by 6 months. 6 months ago, we had basically the biggest British title fight. Well, it was a domestic fight, but it was probably like third. It was probably the third division compared to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, but it was Dubois and Joyce, both unbeaten fighters. Dubois was the golden boy of Queensberry Promotion. Basically, Joyce was an awkward sod who we thought couldn't punch, he couldn't knock anyone out, but but it was bloody hard to hit. If you look at the situation, Daniel Dubois basically got injured by a punch. But what's happened is that if you listen to people like Spencer Fearon, who actually does a lot of good work with Pro Bs and yourselves, Spencer Fearon, Dillian White, all these people, and Billy Joe himself, they were upset because they felt the end was unsatisfactory, even though it was a genuine injury. Now, because we've got more information, Joe Joyce doesn't get enough credit because he broke Dubois' face.
Yeah,
with the jab.
I gave him the credit at the time, Joe Joyce. Yeah, I always gave Joe the credit.
Yeah, I know you gave Joe credit, but in terms of public opinion, because it was such a spectacle, and they basically wanted one to be unconscious, that was seen as unsatisfactory. But because we've got more understanding now, that obviously me and you think it's a great punch, but there's still going to be a thing. If you talk about not boxing fans, and I'm talking about casuals, they're going to think that the ending was unsatisfactory because you want something to be. I know we're all basically like it's like the Romans gladiators. We're all fighters, and we love a bit of blood, and we're all animals in cages, and basically we want to see someone knocked unconscious. No matter how much of a purist me and you are, I know Joe. A knockout's beautiful to watch, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is. But you don't see someone's face broke like that often, Ken. And also, normally the swelling comes out. The swelling went in. His face sunk in. It was like the Rocky film where his eye was droopy, sucked in. And with that Daniel Dubois one, I think it was bad cornering. They knew 2 or 3 rounds before that his eye was in that damage, and they put him in a position where it made him look like he quit. If he had a better trainer, Martin Bowers is a good trainer, but what I'm saying is, if he had a more elite trainer like Mark Tibbs, he would have got pulled out in the 7th, 8th, maybe 9th round, and no one would have called him a quitter. They would have said he's got called out by his corner. Afterwards, it would have been he's got a broken eye, and that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, but don't you think there was a different kind of scenario where, I know you probably won't agree with me, but I thought that the situation is that from where I was sitting in when I was watching the fight, I thought Dubois was up in my card. I had Dubois going to 10th. I had him a round up. You may have, and that's why I would have sent him out because he was winning.
But the tide was turning.
It was a close fight, and I agree with you. But the thing is, you're at heavyweight boxing, and I don't think it was one punch that done the damage to Dubois. I thought it was a sustained damage over the rounds, and in that last round, that jab, because it was already softened, caused the break. With Billy Joe's he took one sledgehammer and that broke it in one. And like I said, watch the rest of round 8. He takes another 3 or 4 clean shots to the eye because Canelo knows he's hurt it. So he probably broke it with the first one, and the next punches broke it another 2 or 3 other fractures. So it was just ruthless the way it happened. I think if it happened that Daniel Dubois was pulled out in the 9th round by his corner, obviously you wouldn't have had this debate about him being a quitter. And I think it's just because Billy Joe called Daniel Dubois a quitter that it looks like Billy Joe's a quitter. That's the issue. But like we all say every week, no fighters are scared to fight each other. They've gone in there.
Not to.
And until you get your face broken, I wouldn't judge anyone. I've never had my face broken, and I wouldn't want to.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
I put on on my Twitter handle, the first thing I said is that I basically said in the strongest possible terms, congratulations, Canelo. But I said, I'm with Billy Joe Saunders all the way. I saw it. I didn't like what I saw. I looked at his face, go in the corner. I said, for crying out loud. Obviously, I said something a bit stronger, but there's kids watching. But I said, Gordon Bennett, for crying out loud. It wasn't like Dubois. You could tell that the lump came out. But I saw it, and I thought, am I seeing something? It's going straight in. It's basically like
it's sunk in.
It's like
the worst
one. You know when you're needling. You know when you're needling pastry, when you're needling it. It was like boom, you're needling it. And I thought, I can't disagree with the whole situation. But the biggest elephant in the room is about motivation for Billy Joe. He says he wants to fight again, but really, truly, what's going to tickle his fancy? Does he want to fight Eubank again?
No.
What fights is he going to fight? Is he going to fight Demetrius Andrade? Who is he really going to fight? That's going to tickle his fancies. The only fight out there for him is probably.
No, but that brings us to the question, Kenny. Will he fight again?
It depends on the situation. Billy Joe's been fighting since he's been, like I said, he had an excellent amateur career. He fought in the Olympics. Boxing is basically been his life. So in retrospect, it's a very, very big decision. Does he need to fight? But then again, they're prize fighters, isn't he? Has Billy Joe made enough money for him to say, right, my time's over? Because mentally, that's a hard fight to get over. I'm sorry, but calling me pessimistic, I don't see a fight unless Eubank somehow wins a big title at super middleweight and he wins it soon. I don't see any other fight because Canelo don't want to fight him again. Canelo, as far as I'm concerned, don't do the only person he did a rematch with was Golovkin, and that's only because he didn't win it. He got a draw. Canelo, when he came out, he was just said, "What did he say? Easy work." Canelo had no respect for him. Canelo is here to win titles, so Canelo ain't gonna want to fight him. He's in the state. What's the point? So the only fight out there for Billy Joe Saunders is a rematch for Canelo, and that's not going to happen. Not because of the way he lost.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you guys agree, but when you got a fighter, as fans, you want that one more fight, don't you? You think, oh, who could he come against? Or you want him to win a world title that they haven't won or something. With Billy Joe, if he didn't fight again, I'll be happy. Not in the fact that I don't want to see him fight again. Like Ken said, I'll be happy with what he's achieved. He started at a young age, great amateur, fought at the Olympics, a two-weight world champion. We said earlier, Joe, that's a great achievement to be a two-weight world champion. Some fighters don't even become a world champion. So, to me personally, I just want Billy Joe to get healthy. And if he didn't fight again, I'd say thank you for your career. You've gave me some great memories in boxing. You're one of the reasons I'm a boxing fan. And I'll be happy for him, as long as he was happy. But I agree with Ken. Unless there's a big fight, which we said earlier, don't come back. I want the Triple G fight for a world title, or I want the Danny Jacobs fight. That's all I would want in the fight. So,
that's the only fight. That's the only fight that's out for him. Unless somehow Caleb Plant beats Canelo.
Ken, we said we come up with a situation earlier, Ken.
Billy Joe can fight him.
We said if Canelo beats Caleb Plant for the IBF title and he's got all the titles, then he goes up to light heavyweight because he wants a new challenge. All the titles are vacant at super middleweight. Andrade goes up because he's WBA and WBO, and have Andrade versus Billy Joe for the super middleweight title. That's the only fight I can possibly see. Yeah, vacant title.
Definitely. But the thing about Demetrius Andrade is that Canelo obviously was very strong, and he said, "You fight nobody." And he used yeah, and I think the thing about it, right, is that, you know, it's Andre again. There's only one person who should be fighting, but I think it's just too awkward for people to fight. You know what I mean? So I don't see Billy Joe getting out of bed for that. But then again, if Andre has something that Billy Joe wants, then maybe.
Yeah.
But I just don't see any fight out there for Billy Joe that is gonna get him up on the road and thinking, right, is it worth it? You know, the only fight out there for him was Canelo, and he lost. He wasn't. He lost to a better fighter, as Joe said. As Jay says, it was a bashing. He got beaten up.
And there's no harm in losing to the pound for pound number one, which is the main thing we brought out of this live tonight. But I just want to bring your attention to this. I don't know if you've seen it, but today we have had an announcement of retirement from a British boxer, Jamie McDonnell. Jamie McDonnell has announced.
I didn't. Wow.
Because it's just recently within the last hour. Yeah. Jamie McDonnell has announced his retirement from boxing at the age of 35. He said, I've reached more than I ever thought. English, British, Commonwealth, European and world champion. I think if I come back now at this age, it would put my life's hard work to shame. So, like, Jamie McDonnell there is admitting that he hasn't got what he used to have and maybe bailing out. But he thinks he's the right time. So just a little bit of reaction on that, just on his career. Great fighter, Jay. Any memories of Jamie McDonnell?
Yeah, great memories of Jamie McDonnell. Like I was saying, I've followed boxing for the last 20 years, but about 10 years ago, boxing went a bit downhill, and that's when I got into the MMA and that. People like Jamie McDonnell, when Eddie Hearn first started with Sky, was one of the main fighters which got me back into the love of boxing again. Like I said to you the other day, my greatest memory as a boxing fan is Darren Barker winning the world title. That I never felt anything like that ever in my life, and that was fantastic. Jamie McDonnell's on that journey as well, winning world titles. Kell Brook, George Groves, Carl Froch. So fighters like that, now they're coming to the end of that. Gavin McDonald as well, his brother. He didn't have a great result the other week. So, yeah, he's 35 now. He's done everything in the game. It's a bit like with Billy Joe Saunders. Look at his record there. He's had a great career. So, yeah, hope you're safe. I hope you're well. And congratulations on your retirement. Great boxer.
I've got enough. I can definitely great fighter. You know, like I said, gave me some thrills as well. You know, like I said, I was a big fan of both him and his brother. Great trainer. He had a good trainer as well. You know, I've got nothing. You know what? I wish him the great health for him and his family. He's done what he's done. He's you know, like I said, he's given the sport great memories. And as you said, in terms of Sky TV, you know, like I said, he was well worth of Sky TV putting money in. It was, you know, people talk about Anthony Joshua's, Katie Taylor's, but you know, people like Jamie McDonnell shake his hand all day long because, you know, great career. And I wish him the best for the future. And don't when you run out of money ruin your legacy. Just don't come back. I know it's tempting, but don't do it.
I think he's the type of guy. Go on, Jay. No, go on,
I was to say what I loved about him and his brother is they didn't even follow boxing. If you asked them who the world champion is at like 168 or something, they probably wouldn't tell you. I used to see interviews with him, and they wouldn't really. You get people like Tony Bellew and that, they're boxing historians and that. Jamie and Gavin, they done their own sort of thing. They just trained to be a boxer, and like Ken said, he gave us some great nights on Sky and that. And I'll just echo the words of Ken there. He was a great fighter, and congratulations to him. He's done really well. He's hit the highest heights, and yeah, congratulations to him. And he made me a fan again. So, like I said, if you can make people fans again when they fall out of love with the sport, then that's a great fighter. So, thanks for the memories and that, and I wish him the best in the future, whatever he does.
Brilliant, wise words.
You know what? It's just that I just saw it just now. But one of the things that I thought, you know, when you said about and that, I thought you ain't going to talk about it like Carl Froch not Carl Froch. Another announcement between Joshua and Fury. I mean, Eddie Hearn has made another announcement. We saw
with the dates. For the 7th or 14th of August.
we try to avoid that talk today. Today, Kenny. We can quickly go over that. We can quickly go over AJ.
No, Joe, we're more excited about Michael Hunter versus Mike Wilson.
Oh yeah. Have you heard about that, Kenny?
Yeah.
Come on, Ken, tell us about Mike Wilson. Who is this guy?
I'm just checking it now because
I got his box record up.
Well, first and foremost, I've been doing too much football, so mate. Let me just have a look. Let me see if the fight's happening. Michael Hunter. Bloody hell.
Yeah. Just while Kenny's looking at that, just if anyone don't know, I'll quickly mention.
What about his fight with Herkovic?
Yes,
I know
he said he don't want to pull out of it. He pulled out according to Callis Howland, yeah.
Go on Callis Howland IFL interview last week, Ken.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, I saw it. He went mad. He's calling him a fraud and everything. Yes,
he said this belt is melted.
Yeah, he said his belt is melted, and he said about how Herkovic has spent all that money on camera, blah blah. He's calling him a fraud, losing his rag. I was thinking, hang on here. This is a great opportunity for Michael Hunter. Why doesn't he fight? Why doesn't he fight Herkovic? Yeah. What's going on with him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, strange. Very strange.
Povetkin. He got a draw against Povetkin. I thought he probably nicked it. So I don't understand how
knocked down Bacoli.
I don't understand his thought process. Exactly. I don't understand his thought process. I really do not understand his thought process.
Snoop Dogg must be paying him at least $1 million or so.
I don't know.
It's on Triller, isn't it, Joe?
I look at the thought process.
I think so. I assume so because it's on the undercard of Tio. So that's because it isn't on box rec yet. I don't think, Kenny. I had a look, but it was just on.
No, it's not on box rack at all.
Yeah, no, it was just on Michael Benson's Twitter.
Oh, right, from Mark Benson.
Yeah,
and also, Joe, we want Kenny's thoughts on Tom Saunders versus the security guard.
Oh yeah, Kenny. Opinions on Tom Saunders.
I saw it. You know what? I was about to put that on my Twitter. I've actually got it in my. I've actually got in my photos. Out of respect for Tom Saunders, and because I thought that was too long. I look at the situation, right? We know who Tom Saunders is, but maybe the security didn't know he was. And you've got a situation where someone's running the ring. Canelo's like a massive star. You don't want a situation where Tom Saunders can run in the ring and he can have something on him. You know what I mean? So, for me and you, all three of us is overzealous, but as a security guard doing his job, you've got to protect the public at all times.
I think he could have gone a different way about it.
Yeah, he's aggressive because the way he's pushed him to the ground.
Just because of the distance to the ring, Ken. I thought there was quite a big distance to the ring. Yeah. If he was closer to the ring, it's a bit different. But he had enough.
Yeah. I think what's happening is that I don't know, man. I can understand when Tom, your son, your flesh and blood is injured. He's about to go to hospital.
I'll get that.
I'm in that ring.
That's me too. That's what I said. That's what I said. It's your natural instinct.
So I just look at it. That's why I can't like discount anything that anything that the security guard. It's, you know what, the security guard did his job. Tom Saunders is a dad. He's done his job as a dad. It's one of those things where it's a crazy situation, isn't it? Where everything's crazy. Like, had it been in Britain, I don't think that would have happened because we don't have guns. You know, we don't carry knives. We get searched to come in. But in America, Texas as well, you just don't know. You know, it's basically threaten one and ask questions later. And I think that instant was about like that.
He was a brave security guard. Yeah, Tyson Fury there, and Tommy Fury, and obviously Tom Saunders. They all look after themselves.
Yeah, but I think this security guard, right, was as wide as a fridge, and I think he probably would have sat on one of them as well. So I think
looked like Floyd Mayweather's one from the other day. Bodyguard, he was big, wasn't he? The one who gave Jake Paul a few digs.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. Got your hat.
Oh wow.
Got your hat.
Gotcha.
Got it. And the worst thing about it, they weren't even fighting each other, and it was like he didn't even get that far. It was like, and it's like he wanted to be accosted as well. It was, I don't know, but as you guys say, boxing is very much like WWE. You had the situation with Andre and Canelo in the press conference. I'm going to see you afterwards, and Canelo going on a pork
laughing
shop,
at him.
and he come on. So
I love that side of Canelo. What do you guys think? Do you like that when he's in English talking like that? I love it.
He only knows swearing, doesn't he, in English?
I love that.
Come on. Oscar de la Hoya, outside Golden Boy, it was a pork shop and not a very nice person. So I can only assume that Canelo, they're trying to sell him. But you know what? Eddie Hearn loves having fighters who got a bit about him. He loved all that trouble between George Groves and Carl Froch. He loved all that. And you had Tony Bellew to return with Nathan Cleverly. Eddie Hearn was all over that. He was all over David Lane. He loves Eddie. You know,
that's why he's the best. That's why he's the best.
Eddie Hearn is a wannabe Vince McMahon, isn't he?
Oh yeah, no, he's like a mix between Dana White and Vince McMahon with a little bit of Bob in him. Go on, Jack.
I think if you give Eddie Hearn a bald head, he would look like Dana White but taller. If you look at him, just shave his head bald and that.
I don't know. Eddie Hearn's still got that hair. He don't wash his hair every day, so I think that hair's going to be there for a long time. With the money he has, he's probably going to go like have a transplant as well. But saying that, no word of a lie. I loved it.
What were your thoughts on the production? Because we all three of us done the Sky to the Zone show, didn't we? About Eddie Hearn leaving, and we talked about the production. I was really impressed with the production at the weekend. What did you think about it?
Well, yeah, the Americans know how to put a show on, don't they? They know how to put a show on, you know. And I thought the commentary wasn't a big fan of. I'm sorry, but that's I'm sorry, Cole. Cole Frock, love you as a fighter, please. Just stop commentating.
Really?
Right?
I like Cole as a commentator. I don't like Sergio Mora. I think the Americans ain't very good.
No, Sergio Mora, bloody hell. He was in the Contender about 16 years ago.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, when he won it.
On that ITV show. Yeah. I remember.
Beat Peter Manfredi Jr. in the final.
Yeah, he beat the favourite, Ishii Smith.
What did Peter Manfredi Jr. he beat?
Jesse Brinkley.
I remember Alfonso Gomez was in it as well.
Ishii Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Alfonso Gomez lost the semi-final to Pete Manfredi. Yeah, but Pete Manfredi was knocked out in the first round by Alfonso Gomez, but there was an injury, so Pete Manfredi was called back.
Yes, that's it, Ken. Yes, I love that. Back in the day, that was fantastic.
Everyone's bringing out the knowledge tonight. It's a proper knowledge night of boxing.
I think what's happening right now is that, you know, like there's future shows next year, and it's like there's even more clues and more evidence that Eddie Hearn's going to be leaving Sky, because they were talking about future shows, and they were talking future shows with the other British fighters that are going to be on the Zone. So that shouts at me. That shouts that Eddie Hearn will be no more. I think the only thing he's going to promote after June is probably the Joshua Fury fight. It's on both avenues, Sky Sports and BT Sport. After that, I think there's no more.
Well, we don't know it's on Sky, do we? I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't on Sky.
Oh,
has it been confirmed that it's going to be on
Sky? Kind of. Like, there or thereabouts confirmed.
It's kind of been confirmed. It's kind of been agreed that Sky and BT will share the coverage, the pay-per-view coverage in this country. So it's kind of, we know it's going to be Saudi Arabia because that's a giveaway anyway. So, but in terms of I think that Eddie Hearn's last promotion is going to be the Joshua Fury fight this summer, we think. But I can't see another Sky after that.
Yeah. Right, guys, smash that like button. Pep Talk UK. Final topic tonight. Just to close up. Just under 10 minutes left. The show in Manchester, Saturday night. It's a matchroom show. It's meant to be headlined by the female unification fight between Terry Harper and Choi. That is now being postponed off, I don't know, because of Harper's injury. So I'll just quickly run through the card and then get your opinion. Yeah. So I'll get your opinions on the fight, on the fights in the card. So we have obviously headlining now. We've got Joshua Buatsi versus the 15-0 Daniel Blender dos Santos, and then on the undercard we've got fights like Lerone Richards versus Giovanni De Carolis for the vacant EBU European Super Middle title. We've got Tommy McCarthy versus Alexander Jew for the European Cruiser. We've got Gamal Yafai versus Jason Cunningham for the EBU European Super Bantam title. We've got Dalton Smith versus Lee Appleyard for the vacant English Super Lightweight title. We've got Ellis Hopkins making his debut. We've got Solomon Dackers, the heavyweight, making his debut. Yeah, so what's your opinions on the card just before we close up, Kenny?
Well, obviously the fights I'm looking forward to is Gamal Yafai. This is a fighter that I like to see more of. Joshua Buatsi, he's fighting Daniel Santos. Both have got unbeaten records. Daniel dos Santos has got a slightly lower. He's probably got 50% knockout ratio. Buatsi has got his knockout ratio is in the high 70s, early 80s. So it's about who's got the better names in the record. Buatsi, it's another test for him, but I think Buatsi will win this. He's a good fighter. He's got all the fundamentals, and he's got concussive power, really big power. So I'm gonna go. I'm convinced. I can't see anything other than Buatsi winning that fight. I really can't see it. In terms of like Gamal Yafai, again, I don't expect anything other than like a good, like I said, a conclusive win against Jason Cunningham. Again, Cunningham is he's got an affair record, but he's lost 6 times. And
he was the one that broke Anthony Ogogo's eye, wasn't he? We were talking about it earlier, Joe.
Yeah,
I thought it was Cunningham.
Cunningham. Is he a Birmingham fighter?
I was going to say Birmingham. Yeah, we need Shoei on here to let us know. He's from Birmingham, isn't he? Yeah.
We need Benji, but yeah, he's a Birmingham fighter, and I do remember him. Yeah, not rimming taking care of Anthony Ogogo, Anthony. Yeah, like I said, Bogo. So that's a fight I'm looking for. Looking at Tommy McCarthy.
I don't think he did fight Anthony Ogogo, that Cunningham. I'm just looking at it now because it must have been because Ogogo was like middleweight, wasn't he? Ogogo was middle, super middle. This is like
he's middle silverweight. Yeah. So I don't think he's that fight, but I do know.
Yeah, this is super bantam.
It was a Birmingham fighter. It was a Birmingham fighter that took him out.
Yeah, look, it was Craig Cunningham there, Nathan.
Oh, Craig Cunningham.
Yeah, Craig Cunningham. Yeah, no, I thought that because I knew it was a bit too light, super bantam there, and then middle, but super middle. Jay, what's your thoughts on the card itself?
One name stuck out to me. I really like Dalton Smith. I think he's a great fighter. His dad's a good trainer as well. He's someone that I predict he will be a world champion. I think he's a great fighter.
I love him. But it's a good fight in Lee Appleyard. It's a good step up.
Great fight. And I think he's ready for it. His last couple of fights, Dalton Smith looked unbelievable. So I think if they match him right, hard fight this weekend, go on to the British title. They build him right, go up through the British and the European titles. He could be a world champion in the next 3 years.
I love him.
Also, Richards. Sorry, Joe.
No, I was just saying, I love him. I think Dalton Smith style. I like him as a person. I've been Team Dalton Smith for a very long time now, since before he even turned pro. I've followed him. I followed his dad, trainer Grant Smith. I just think he's brilliant, and it's a good fight, really good. In Lee Appleyard should be. They've sparred on numerous occasions. I think I've heard. So, it should be an interesting fight. I always like that. And, you were going to say, I think about
Lerone Richards. Lerone Richards.
I was about to say, Lerone Richards,
Yeah, he hasn't got a great knockout record. He's only knocked out 3 of his opponents. It's a European title. It's a vacant European super middleweight title. Fighting against Giovanni De Carolis. So it's one of those things where I always look at a European title as a step up into like basically knocking on the door for world level. So it's a massive, massive fight, and that's something that I'm definitely going to be looking into and be interested in, because I've always been I think what's happening now, as I don't think that European super middleweight title, European titles in itself gets enough credit, because back in the day, maybe I'm an old fogey, right? But back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, if you won a European, boom, that's next level to the world title. And I think nowadays is that fighters you're lucky if they win a British title, and then boom, next minute they have a good fair record. Next minute, their managers going boom, boom, straight at world title level. And I think with European super middleweight fight, that kind of is like a prelude.
It's like a tester, isn't it?
You know what I mean?
It's a build up before the world level.
So like a European title fight, that is really like I said, making me get all like excited and all that, And plus we've got especially when it's a super middleweight, as we know, British fight fans like ourselves, one of the weight classes that we've always been strong in is super middleweight. So that's something I would love to have.
Super middleweight and light heavy's always been two very strong weight divisions for the British guys. Yeah, Jay, just closing up on that show.
I'll quickly
word on Lee, a word on Lerone Richards.
Yeah, Lerone Richards, I'll echo what Ken said. His knockout ratio ain't too great, but he's got good skills. He's a good fighter. I'd like to see more of him. I know he's with Frank Warren. Now he's with Eddie Hearn. As long as he don't wear them bumblebee shorts like he did last time, they look uncomfortable. Did you see them? They look like they're made out of wool. I know they're for
quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I think they were for charity or something, and that's a great cause, but I just didn't like the look of them. So please don't wear the bumblebee shorts again. Joshua Buatsi, intrigued. He's got a new trainer, Virgil Hunter. He's now based in America. It'd be interesting to see what they do with him. It'd be a good fight. His last fight was his hardest fight to date. He had that eye injury that he had to come back from. It'd be a good, interesting fight. I think they're going to push him up to world level pretty soon. And like I said to you, if he wins this, I'd want to see Buatsi versus Bivol on the undercard to Fury and Joshua for the world title. So, I'm actually looking forward to this card because there's a lot of fighters on the card that I like.
Yeah.
I would like. You know what? I know from a selfish point of view, right? I know it's selfish, but I want to see him in a domestic tear up. I want to see. I know it sounds like masochistic, but I want a situation where he's in a fight where he daren't lose. When a British prospect, you don't want to lose a fight, but the last thing you want to lose is someone on your doorstep, like someone like Yard and Lyndon Arthur.
Lyndon,
sort of
Richard.
Like domestic, right?
Yeah.
I want a derby. I want a British derby.
A lot of people said that.
I want a derby because the reason I want him against those guys is because I want a situation where I don't think he deserves yet to get a world title. He does, but what I want to say, you know what? Let's have a little shootout between the best of British in terms of light heavyweight, and say.
I think Yard ruined that though, Ken. Yard ruined that when he lost to Kololev.
Yeah,
I think
you know what's happened in terms of Yard. He's lost 2 fights, but I think what's happened. I'd like to see. Obviously we've got Richards as well. So we've got Richards, we've got Arthur, we've got Yard and Buatsi. I thought, you know what? Why don't we just have a little shootout to see who the best of British, to see the winner of all 4 of them gets a world title shot, because I think there's good fights at the domestic level in terms of four
100%.
guys.
Definitely.
And guess what? Guess who I left out? I left out Callum Johnson, and he's 34.
Yeah, Callum Johnson, even Chuck Shakin Peters in there. There's all great. So, guys, in the comments, let us know for the next live stream who wins in a round robin. If they've done a Super 6, here's one then. Here we go. I'll leave this with you for tonight. Super 6.
British version.
You let us know who you're in. British light heavyweight Super 6. We've got Buatsi, we've got Yard, we've got Arthur, we've got Craig Richards, we've got Callum Johnson, we've got Shakan Peters. There you go. And thank
There
you
you
everyone
go,
for
mate.
watching tonight. That has been an absolute stacked show. We've spoke about everything. Billy Joe Saunders. We've spoke about some fantasy fights we'd like to see on the undercard of AJ Fury. We spoke about some underrated British boxers. We spoke about a strange Michael Hunter move leading to some Jamie McDonald retirement news. So best of luck, Jamie McDonald.
Yep.
It's all been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for watching, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to Pep Talk UK. And a big thanks to Jay Alby and Kenny Ken. Jay, where can people find you?
Yeah, Instagram, JAlby1989, or here on Pep Talk UK. Everyone like and subscribe to the channel. Keep supporting, keep pushing the channel up and that, and have a great evening.
Yeah, and same for you, Kenny.
Kenny Ken 1972 on Twitter and Instagram, and I put a lot of videos of football boxing because guess what? I'm now out of crop pictures.
Hey, moving up in the world. He's moving up in the world.
Yes,
Thanks guys
go
for
on,
watching.
Ken.
Thank you, Kenny Ken. Thank you, Jay Alby, for joining me as ever. I've been Joe P. You can find me on Instagram at JoeP1309. I'll put all sorts of boxing stuffs on there, as I do know how to crop photos and videos as well, Kenny. So we could have a little competition there, mate. But thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Until next time, see you soon.
See you soon.